on me for not knowing the 49ers offensive line roster from top to bottom. But it's a lot of no-name guys that you may not have heard of, but it's a lot of inexpensive guys. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of guys who throughout their careers have been very reliable. Daniel Brunskill, who started in every single game in 2020 and 2021, took 58% of the snaps for the San Francisco 49ers last year. Reliable guys that they can get on the cheap. And they all seem like very Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel guys. Like when the Titans acquired Luke Gifford, a special teams linebacker, I thought that sounds like Mike Vrabel's cup of tea. And then you see a bunch of guys coming from the 49ers tree. I'm thinking those are Rand Carthon's guys. So while none of these names are sexy, big-time free agent signings that you're going to see on the rolling marquee on SportsCenter, and none of these moves are really going to be ones that send shockwaves across the NFL, I'm totally okay with that because what it seems like the Titans are getting is reliable guys on a deal, which is something that they haven't done a lot of in the past, which has gotten them in some sticky situations, like a Bud Dupree, for example. Expensive and not available and not reliable.
Well, they are, what it seems to me they're doing is what Rand Carthon has been celebrated for doing in the past. And one of the things that Amy mentioned why one of the reasons why she hired him is because he has the ability to build rosters up. The Titans understand they got to get frontline guys. They know that. You try to get your frontline guys and try to, watch them, develop via the draft, whether it's Jeffrey Simmons, Kevin Byard, Treylon Burks, Derrick Henry, guys that you drafted that ultimately ends up being frontline guys. What Rand is doing now is because this roster is not, at least this past year, is not because of the injuries, hasn't been as good at the bottom. He's trying to build this roster up. When you look at guys like Arden Key and Al Shazier and Luke Gifford, these are not long-term guys. They can potentially turn into long-term guys, but these are not guys that the Titans look to have for the next 5 or 6 years. These are guys they can bring in that will play really good football for them. It's almost like they're bridge guys until they get their whoever they draft and some of these younger guys start to develop. Well, you put these veteran guys in here. They haven't played a lot of football, but they played enough that they fit into your system. They're the type of guys that you like. Rand knows a few of them. So you bring them in, you plug them in, and you hope to get a more than bargain for them, meaning you're paying less, but you hope that production far exceeds what you're paying them, at least for the next 2 to 3 years, because you hope by then the guys that you drafted are guys that now you can put in place when their contract is done. So to me, these are not, like you said, Caroline, these are not like wow moves, but they're moves to help build this roster back up with guys that you hope that you can rely on during the season.
Well, it strikes me too as they're staying away, and it's out of necessity because they don't have the big bucks to go make big splashes with free agent signings. So they have to be smart with what they're doing. And it looks to me like Rand Carthon, new set of eyes, comes in, looks at what the Titans want to do, what they have been doing defensively, what they want to do offensively, and he says, okay, we're going to lose some of these guys, some of our guys that we drafted because the market is just such that we can't pay these guys. But I'm going to try to find some guys that will give us good bang for the buck that might be great fits. That's really the art, I think, of free agency. It's not necessarily you spend huge money on the 1 or 2 guys. It's can you get 4 or 5 guys that you're paying reasonable amounts but are really good fits for your system. That's the key. That's the sweet spot you're trying to hit. And who knows whether these guys are working on it, but that looks like the idea.
And I'm with you. We don't know if these guys are going to work out. On paper, at least from what I've been able to gather about some of these guys, they seem like very Vrabel-esque kind of guys, or the Rand Carthon kind of guys, just based off of the 49ers connections. But you look at some free agency signings that the Titans have made in the past, like whenever the Titans signed Ben Jones from the Texans, I don't think that anybody looked at that and thought, oh boy, Titans are going for it, signing a center from the Texans, signing to a 4-year deal worth $17.5 million, and I'm sure that was, the big number, not the actual dollars. Delaney Walker, when he was signed to the Titans, he was a backup tight end at the time. He ended up being a great free agency signing for the Titans. So sometimes at the time, whenever you look at it, you're like, wait, who is this guy? Oh, like some random offensive lineman from the 49ers names. Where are the marquee names? I understand fans being so thirsty or hungry for that right now because that's what's going around the league and that's what's fun to talk about right now. But sometimes those best moves, like the Ben Jones kinds of moves, who becomes your center and a staple on your offense, a backbone of the organization, became one of Mike Vrabel's favorite players on this team, who said he'd love you like my son. Those are the kind of free agency moves that sets your team up for success.
You're not going to have a big press conference for any of these guys, right?
You're
not going to win the press conference, but you might end up with a better team. So when we had Jeff Fisher on, that was the first thing he said about Rand Carthon is he knows the players. He's a very good evaluator of talent. He's also got his sidekick that he brought in. I can't remember his name, the analytics guy, right? That's the other part of this.
The Green Bay guy?
The Green Bay guy.
Chad something.
Right. And at the Combine, he was talking about this guy. And so I think that's a guy he leans on because that is the name of the game, is how much value can I get for the least amount of money? You have to have – you talked about it a lot, Derek, while the roster was crumbling. I thought the Titans did a really good job for a long time finding guys off the street that were holding the fort for a while. But ideally, you want to see them strengthen the middle of that roster, right? That's what they're hoping to do here. And they don't have a choice, right? They've got big money tied up in Derrick Henry. They're trying to cut guys to clear as much space as they've got. They've still got to go out and get offensive linemen here. So they need bang for the buck. And so that's where analytics and that's where really keen scouting can really go a long way. So that's what's being put to the test here.
Yeah, they're going to have to because this team, because they're not one guy or two guys away from competing, not just for, a playoff spot or Super Bowl. I'm talking about competing in the AFC South. They're not just one or two guys away. They got to systematically build this roster as other teams are getting better as well. You look at what Jacksonville is doing. Now, Jacksonville has lost some key guys as well, but they've been able to, because of their draft picks, because of they've hit on a few of their free agents they brought in, they've been able to, accelerate, their sort of learning curve in a sense, because they chose to go a different direction. They chose to immediately get away from the last coach, bring a new coaching system in, and away this team goes. So for the Titans, it's not just competing for a playoff spot. It's you got to compete within your own division. And, the guys that are ahead of you, the teams that are ahead of you, I'm talking Indianapolis, well, behind you, I'm talking Indianapolis and Houston. Well, they're in a position to draft their future quarterback. So I think for the Titans, I can see them saying, okay, if we cannot put ourselves in a position to draft our future quarterback this year, then we have to build this roster up until we're able to do so. Because once they're able to land their franchise quarterback, they've already built their team. Now away they can go. We've seen teams do that. You look at Kansas City. They already had a playoff team. Then they insert Patrick Mahomes, and away they go. Some teams like to do it the other way, get the guy and then build the roster around him. It takes a little bit longer to do it that way. I think what the Titans are doing now, what Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel are doing now, is building this roster back up so when they do eventually get their franchise quarterback, away they can go.
build the roster back up and don't mortgage the future while doing it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number with your calls, your texts, your thoughts on the Titans free agency so far. Plus, coming up next, some of the guys that they've signed, our thoughts on them, how they fill into this roster and fill some of the needs that this roster has. We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, DMase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
We are your home for every big pass.
Kevin Harvick takes over the race lead.
Big wreck.
Trouble turn 2. One car is around and hard into the outside wall.
And big win.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has won the Daytona 500.
Yeah! Woo!
Catch every lap of NASCAR on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, every day is a great escape. With 35 miles of white sand, there's no better place to get away. So let's explore the secluded beaches of Fort DeSoto or paddle our way around Honeymoon Island. Let's kick back, kayak, and catch crimson sunsets. Let's trade snow boots for bathing suits. Let's make today and tomorrow a beach day. Let's shine. Plan your escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
Hoop fans looking for some fun action this Thursday and Friday's tournament games? Head over to Brewhouse South in Cool Springs. Superbook Sports will be there with awesome merch to give out and fun betting options. Brewhouse South and Superbook for round 1 hoops action.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means... Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
I switched to Boost Mobile and got a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone. Want to know the best part?
It was free?
Nope.
The fact that it's on America's largest 5G networks?
Nope. It's the ding.
Oh yeah, love the ding.
Right? It's all about the ding. It's the dingarooski, the dingaroner, the ring-a-ding-ding.
Unleash your power to save with Boost. Get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone when you switch. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power.
And the ding.
Limited time offer. New customers only. Available on select networks. 5G not available everywhere. One device per line. Tax excluded. Additional restrictions apply. See your local Boost Mobile store for details.
Will they find a home? Sponsored by Geico. Susan has always wanted to live in a chateau. I like a certain je ne sais quoi. While Jake is more into the Cape Cod style home.
It's a classic look.
Compromise is tough, but these two won't have to compromise when they bundle home and car insurance with Geico. It's easy, and they can save even more. In the end, Susan and Jake found a Cape Cod style home where they will only speak French.
Bonjour, je t'aime, merci beaucoup, and cordon bleu.
You'll get better with time. Bundling without compromise at geico.com.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Caroline, Willy, and DMase podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and DMase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
How tough is that to possibly have to fill that many positions in that position in one off season?
That's our job. It's figuring out where we're at with the roster, taking a look at the salary cap, what we think is what we want to do with the cap, and going and finding players and having collaboration between the coaches and personnel, me, Rand, Chad, Ryan, anybody that can help. And that's been the one thing that I've been most proud of is, that everybody, at least from the coaching staff, I sit in there and listen, and they talk, and they ask them questions about the player, and the coaches talk, and whether I agree with them or disagree with them, they're being heard, and then, ultimately, Rand and I have to make a great decision.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel and the tough decisions he and Rand Carthon would have to make, how they would be able to rebuild this roster in the offseason. And they've started, at least now that free agency has started. And also, I've been saying that free agency has started, over the past 3 days. It really technically doesn't start until 3 o'clock this afternoon. But let's be serious. It's free agency. It's the legal tampering period. It really is free agency. So we learned on Monday that the Titans signed left tackle Andre Dillard, or really, offensive lineman that I assume that they'll fill in at left tackle, to a 3-year deal up to $29 million. as far as I've seen, I haven't seen the real numbers on that contract. I don't think it's actually going to be $29 million. They signed linebacker Luke Gifford from the Cowboys, who primarily has been a special teamser, which is just classic Vrabel, signing a linebacker in a special teams role, just total Vrabel guy. Yesterday, the Titans signed Daniel Brunskill to a 2-year deal. He played 4 years with the 49ers, and he played right guard, center, and right tackle. Very versatile kind of offensive lineman. In 2022, he had 2 starts, started every single game in 2020 and 2021, played 58% of the offensive snaps for San Francisco, so that at least fills a role probably at right guard for the Tennessee Titans going into the 2023 season.
Well, let's take another example, too, of what we were talking about, bang for your buck, right? Just the list of names you just put out there, they're not going to stop everything on the NFL Network to announce these signings, right? Like, oh, my gosh, did you see what just happened? Like, they're not going to do that. But so they're trying to go under the radar. Let's take Arden Key. Caroline, you watched him play at LSU, one of the dozens and dozens of great players that they churn out year after year. But Arden Key and analytics, right? Seth Walder from ESPN gave the grade 3 years, $21 million, 13 guaranteed, an A-. And here's what he bases it on. Edge rusher, 24% pass rush win rate at the edge, a 10th of percentage point ahead of Von Miller. So the idea is, and who knows, he's got to do it. It's a smaller sample size. He didn't play a ton. He only had 4.5 sacks at the end of the year. So the idea is you cut Bud Dupree, you sign Arden Key, you hope to get better bang for your buck, maybe even better production if he's more available with a bigger role for a fraction of the price. That's what you're hoping to do. And analytics helps you do that. Rand Carthon's eye for talent hopefully has a part of that. You put those two together, and that's how you hope to build the roster back up. Right? That's the idea. Now, who knows how this is going to play out, but I think everybody look at it and say, okay, I'll sign up for that because Bud Dupree was overpaid and underachieved. That's the worst thing you could have.
Well, they don't want to make that mistake no more, and I don't blame them. But I go back to for whatever reason, and you can say, well, guys were hurt, but you allowed David Long Jr. to get out of this building, who's better from an analytic standpoint, better than both of these linebackers that you brought in. He's a 3-down back. These guys haven't proven that they are 3-down backs. They struggle in pass coverage. They're not horrible, but they do struggle. That's one of their weaknesses. Well, David Long Jr., you can keep him on the field first, second, third down, and if you want to, if a team goes for it on fourth, you can keep him in fourth down. Now you got to find a way systematically to make sure that either one, these guys get better at pass coverage, or two, you have someone in place that you can bring in that can take over the pass coverage duties, not on every third down, but majority of the time. But then also you got to look at it from this standpoint. Arden Key goes from, where was he at? San Francisco first, and then he
started with the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders.
He had a year with San Francisco and a year with Jacksonville.
Yeah, well, the year with San Francisco was his best year. Why? DeMeco Ryans in that defense. Al Shire, is that how you pronounce his last name? Shire?
Al Shire.
Al Shire. He's another San Francisco guy that produced in a DeMeco Ryans defense. You better hope you're getting the same players. I'm sure this defense that is being ran it's an aggressive defense. But you just hope that, because sometimes schemes do make players. And there are some times where you can put like an Aaron Donald, just name Jeffrey Simmons. You can put them in any defensive front, and they're going to play to a high level. Well, guys like, Arden Key and Al Shire. We're
all gonna have to practice that one.
Yes, these are guys that, if you look at both of their careers, they were most productive where at? San Francisco. So you better hope that, and I believe in Rand because he's seen both of these guys.
This is what you have to trust Rand Carthon.
Absolutely,
that he can make that translation. That what worked in San Francisco will work with what the Titans are trying to do. And that's what I think helps being a player, and being from a football family and also blending in the analytics. I do think all of that plays in to this. And look, we don't know. He's just starting this off. But again, David Long was an excellent player. But his price tag, they're hoping to get in the aggregate to replace that production at a lower price. That's the goal, I think, by spreading it around.
You're still not replacing it with a lower price. You're spreading it around.
That's what.
But people are, people look at the David Long Jr. Contract and they're like, "Wow, Titans, you couldn't keep him for that price."
It still surprised me. It surprised me that they didn't want to keep him.
But they again, when a team doesn't sign back their own players, either that says a lot about the team or it says a lot about the player. Either way.
I think that, the Titans could have afforded to keep David Long Jr. 2 years, $11 million in Miami. The Titans could have afforded that. I think that David Long Jr. was one of the cuts because it was, hey, look, you can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
You played in 22 games in the last 2 seasons, 10 this past year, and you were constantly on and off the injury report. And Mike Vrabel has made it very known that they don't want to deal with the injuries anymore. Mike Vrabel has cited the injuries as being the biggest reason why this team has kind of crashed and burned. And I would say that we would probably agree with that same sentiment. That in the last 7 games of the season, the Titans struggled mightily because of the injuries they suffered.
But and what did we talk about with A.J. Brown? He's always injured. He's always injured. He goes to Philadelphia, don't miss a game. Why is that?
Well, David Long, I don't want to put in the same category as A.J. Brown.
I would be surprised if, what did he miss this year? 7 games?
7 games.
So he's missed a total of 10 in the last 2 years. I would be surprised if he misses more than 4 games this year. Probably more than 3. If he doesn't miss more than 3 games, then we need to revisit this and we need to talk about, well, something's going on here in Nashville that these players are consistently having these soft tissue issues. And I'm not blaming it on, the training staff or anything else, but if a guy leaves here and he remains healthy, then that's something that we have to look at.
Well, that's one of the reasons they're switching to a different surface, right?
Yeah.
That's part of the thinking there. So David Long, 14, 14, 10, 12. That's the number of games played for his 4 seasons. So he missed 2 games, 7 games, 5 games.
Yeah. So we'll see.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. The Titans signed a handful of free agents yesterday, but some more movement in free agency. Not necessarily any big marquee moves, but maybe some moves that the Titans aren't going to make at one position. And what does that mean for the future at that position? We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, DMase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, this is Phil with Forsberg. And this is Smashville.
Forsberg a shot, broken up in front, give it back to Forsberg, and here come the Habs.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Happy, beautiful Wednesday, people. And, man, I need to tell you something about Cool Springs MD. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and his wife, Daphne, along with that experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life. Cool Springs MD services have already helped many men of Brentwood, Nashville, and the surrounding areas in Tennessee with improving their immune systems, energy levels, cognitive functions, and more. They are there to connect you with the medical care you require to have a healthy and enriched life. There's no better time now to achieve a healthy lifestyle. Man, what are you waiting for? Do like I did. Make your appointment at Cool Springs MD with Dr. Jeffrey Lodge. And here is the number. Plug it into your phone and save it. 615-486-3458. 615-486-3458. Or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Experience the crisp, clean, smooth, and refreshing pure agave flavor of Dulce Vida Tequila. Dulce Vida Tequila is made using only 100% USDA certified organic blue agave that is harvested from Los Altos, Mexico. Dulce Vida Blanco is additive-free and gluten-free. Try it for yourself. 1.5 ounce of Dulce Vida Blanco Tequila, 4 ounces of sparkling water, and a squeeze of lime for a delicious ranch water cocktail that is less than 100 calories. Dulce Vida Tequila, pure and simple.
Do you have a VA loan? In this housing market, homeowners with VA loans have access to a ton of instant cash. Hey, Willy Donick here. Do you need cash to pay off credit cards and other high-interest loans? How does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound right now? Loan Pronto is helping veterans every day get the money they need with a quick and easy zero-cost cash-out refi with zero closing costs. With a VA loan, it's really cool because you can access up to 100% of your home's value. That's 100%. Use that money to pay off credit cards, home equity lines, car loan. Consolidate all your payments into one check per month and close in 2 weeks. Most homeowners who do this end up cutting their overall monthly payments by $800. And Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They're doing loans with super low APRs, and they love working with veterans. Call now. See what your options are. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
Join 1025 The Game live from the Rusty Nail in Hermitage on Friday, March 17th.
And the three is good.
Taking the first round of games during a St. Patrick's Day celebration. Enjoy $3 two-lane beer drafts all month long during the tournament.
Yes! What a shot!
Plus a great local atmosphere with a big back patio and volleyball courts. There's also great drinks and great food, especially the wings. That's Friday, March 17th at the Rusty Nail in Hermitage. Doors open at 10.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt head coach Jerry Stackhouse. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
If that speed comes packaged differently at wide receiver, you guys have generally gone big.
Yeah.
And if big and fast is super valuable. So if you're drafting a receiver,
that's not bad.
If you're drafting a receiver later and to get the speed you have to go smaller, might you change tactics there?
Well, I think that you're looking for how they are able to produce with the skill set that they have. And big and fast is a great place to start, knowing that we need to get faster throughout our roster. But there's a couple ways to skin a cat and making sure that, you're not, if you come off that model a little bit, there has to be some other things. If a guy doesn't have 34-inch arms and you're like, well, we'd really like to have that, are there other skill sets that they exhibit and can they function and do their job outside of that? So we know kind of where we need to be with that position in the wide receiver room, and then we'll just kind of carve out, see where we end up in free agency, see where we end up in the draft, and then obviously as players become available, there's different opportunities to add players to your roster.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel. And hey, play hooky and join 1025 The Game at Jasper's, located at 1918 West End Avenue, tomorrow for the first day of tournament games. While you're there, take advantage of the shot and a beer special. That's a shot of Nelson's Greenbrier Tennessee whiskey plus a bottled domestic beer for just $10. Jasper's oversized bar, TVs, and game room make them the place to catch all the games. So we made our list of needs for the Tennessee Titans, and wide receiver is one of those needs, maybe even multiple wide receivers. So I thought that the Titans would bring back Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, but I was a little bit shocked to see today that they did not place a tender on Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. So, but what that means is the tender of Nick Westbrook-Ikhine would be $2.62 million. So they may say, hey, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine has been a reliable, versatile piece for this team, but we're not paying him $2.62 million. Not at that price. So I think the way that the Titans are looking at it could be, look, we're not going to tender you. You can go to the market as a UFA And then if you don't get picked up, we'll sign you to a new contract, and it's not going to be worth $2.62 million. I do think that's absolutely still on the table for the Tennessee Titans, but I was kind of surprised to see that they didn't place the tender on him.
I'm a big fan of his. I really like him. He's an overachiever, but I totally agree with this move. I just don't think he's worth
He's not
that.
worth 2.62. No.
He's great as a role player, making less than that. There is a level that I would say, look, I would bring him back in a heartbeat for X price. I don't know if that's 1.2. I don't know what he was making last year, but he's much better on that first contract where he is the overachieving, undrafted guy that can help you out. Let's be honest, he didn't have a great year last year.
No, he didn't have a great year, but
he didn't build on what he had been doing. He didn't get to a next level, and there were opportunities there for him.
Yeah, there were, but here's the deal. It has nothing to do with the price. The price, $2.6 million for wide receiver, those are pennies.
But also, especially considering the wide receiver market.
Yeah, considering where the wide receiver market is, starting last year to 2 years before where it's going, 2.6 is pennies. They could have paid that. It has nothing to do with them not wanting him to pay. It has everything to do with he doesn't play special teams. He doesn't give them anything special teams wise. If you're going to be our third, possibly fourth wide receiver, you have to add something else to the table. When I was a third and fourth wide receiver, I also played special teams too. You can't just be a one-trick pony. You got to give us something else in order for them to keep him. If he was a core special teams player, along with what he does from an offensive standpoint, they would have signed him back with the quicks for 2.6. That would have been a bargain for them. But because he's not a special team player, consistently, he's not one of their marquee special teams player, then they're not going to sign him back. It has nothing to do with the 2.6. It has everything
it's tied
to do.
in. It's tied in because he would be worth 2.6. It's bang for your buck.
But somebody else is going to, I guarantee you, somebody else is going to pay him. It's going to be a 1 or 2 year deal, and the incentives is going to put him right around at 2.5 somewhere else. It might end up being a contract 1 year, $1.5 million with incentives to go up. But other teams view him the same way the Titans do, is that what are you giving us special teams wise? Because you are a good third down receiver, but we need you to play special teams, and you haven't played special teams. That's what.
But he wasn't a good third down receiver either.
Well, not this year. Not this year.
Not for that price.
Yeah, not this year.
You're better off throwing a rookie in there or a different veteran that does do other things besides on the field. So we think we can do better for the same amount of money.
But what the thing y'all missing here, nobody was good. Nobody was good on this team.
I can't disagree with that.
You know?
Definitely a receiver.
Good from the standpoint of, because I love Chikakonkwo. He has talent. He's proven it. I love Traylon Burks. Regardless of what people say, that kid's going to be a player, and I believe that. But Austin Hooper, same thing. But because of the way this offense functioned this year, the offensive line was horrible. They couldn't. The receivers suffered. You thought you were bringing in a good Robert Woods. Turned out he wasn't as good. He still was dealing with the knee issue. He wasn't fully 100%, I believe.
I think that was more on Robert Woods and less on the offense as a whole.
I think it was a little bit of both. He did have some drop passes, but when they brought him in here, everyone expected him to be the guy that he was in L.A. prior to the injury. And what did I kept on saying? I kept on saying he's not going to be that guy, at least not this year, because he's still dealing with the injury. He's not even a year removed from the injury. And what happened? Not only was he bad, and it was a little bit, he had something to do with it, with the drops, but the offense wasn't good. He was still, to me, in my mind, he still wasn't over 100% that injury. He's going to be a better receiver, better pro for Houston than he was here. Mark my words, he will be, because now he's a full year and a half removed from that injury. Nick Westbrook-Akine, the knock with him is you don't play special teams. So I can't justify. I don't look at this season because they all had down seasons with the exception of Derrick Henry, even though he did have a down season in the sense, but he didn't.
Still rushed for
exactly. He still rushed for. He didn't have a Derrick Henry season, but that whole offense suffered. So to me, the only reason Nick Westbrook-Akine isn't here yet, they may re-sign him, I don't know, but the reason why they allowed him or will allow him to test the market is He doesn't play special teams.
But you say, I mean, there's a team that's going to sign him to 1 year, $1.5 million. I think the Titans would be totally fine sending Nick Westbrook-Ikhine to that deal.
Nah, he doesn't play special teams, though.
But 1.5, I think they would re-sign him for that.
But
2.6,
you just said Vrabel loves special teams guys.
He
and
does.
You're the third or fourth wide receiver. You got to be a special teams guy.
But who else are they going to go get?
Oh, they'll get some people. They're going to get some people.
In the draft, I mean, this free agency class for wide receivers isn't great.
They're going to wait until people start making. Watch after. They may get a receiver. I don't know. They may get a receiver before the draft. And I'm not counting that out. But I expect them, if they're going to make a semi-splash at the receiver position minus the draft, let's wait until after the draft, after the post-June. Then I think they will make that semi-splash to get a veteran receiver.
Is there one out there?
Right now? I mean, yes, but they may want too much money.
Like a Juju Smith-Schuster. I have no interest in Juju Smith-Schuster.
I would love Juju here, but he's not my. I'm not going to pay him. I'm not going to pay him a bunch of money. You know, but I
think
like
he wants a lot of money
because of what. Let's just look at what he did for Kansas City. He was perfect for what they brought him in to do. He was another guy that was a dependable guy other than their tight end Kelsey. They needed another dependable guy. They didn't have one. Mecole Hardman's always injured. You know, some of these other guys were young. They needed a dependable guy. They didn't need a flashy guy. He gave them exactly what they wanted, a dependable guy that was going to catch the football. We laugh because he's a tight end. Well, they won a championship, and he was one of the reasons why they won another championship. It's because he was that guy when Travis Kelce was doubled and triple teamed. And Mahomes still didn't, and Mahomes still tried to throw him the ball, but he really couldn't.
He was basically tight end.
Exactly. He was the second tight end. If he came here to Tennessee, I wouldn't mind it. Now, if he came and wanted $10 million, I'm like, no. Now, if he wants $3 million for $6 million for 2 years, that's a great bargain for a guy that is reliable.
If you would take that.
Yeah, if you would take that.
And also, I mean, look at that Chiefs offense. They make Kadarius Toney look good.
Yeah.
Isaiah Pacheco, a 7th-round pick at running back. He was balling out for Kansas City. So it's the same thing whenever we talk about, okay, Robert Woods and some of his issues in the Titans offense. And I know different offensive coordinator, in a hopefully, ideally, a bolstered up offensive line, things would be different. But if we're going to make the same critique about Robert Woods, I think we also have to look at Juju Smith-Schuster under that same magnifying glass of, was that really Juju, or did he have one of the best offensive minds in the league as his head coach?
Well, he had to catch
Patrick
the ball.
Mahomes as his quarterback.
He had to catch it.
And he did catch it when it came to him. Mm-hmm. And Cody Hollister also wasn't tendered today. I don't think that was any sort of surprise to anybody. Best blocking tight end on the team, though, apparently.
But you never know when he's going to show up on that practice squad.
Exactly, yeah.
He's probably still got some living
because he's a special teams guy.
He does that.
He does play special teams. Mike Vrabel does special teams. But at the end of the day, you got to have bodies. Yeah. And right now, their most veteran receiver is going to be who? Racey McMath?
Racey McMath, yes.
That's a pretty unsettling spot to be in at the receiver position. But plenty of moves left to be made. I'm not doubting that Nick Westbrook-Ikhine could eventually be back this next year, just not at the $2.62 million price tag. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. I see your texts and your calls. We'll get to those coming up next, plus some of the moves around the league. And Aaron Rodgers will join Pat McAfee in 18 minutes. Could the decision be coming? We'll get into all that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, DMase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
185! Every team needs a quarterback.
185!
That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim.
You can run good plays at the right time.
ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
You evaluate players, and then you're turning them over to the coaching staff.
Every Tuesday at noon.
At the right time.
With Caroline, Willy, and DMase. Tim on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select Kubota compact tractors, rated #1 in durability and owner experience. They're designed for easy operation and feature performance-matched attachments. Right now, put 0 down and get 0% APR for up to 72 months, plus save up to $800 on select equipment. Now through June 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor Company, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today. Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hi, this is Chef Mark again from Bob's Steak and Chop House at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Looking for the next place to hold a business dinner or just a private room for you and your guests to enjoy? Then look no further than Bob's. We believe in top quality food and service without all the distractions. So join us and experience why we've been voted Diner's Choice on Open Table for 6 years running.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey, Heather, when we ran into you and Mark the other day, you guys looked so happy.
Thanks, Tiffany. We are.
Oh, I hate to say it, but Jim and I aren't doing very well lately.
Oh, what's going on?
Well, Jim's always tired. He never wants to do anything. When we try being intimate, he doesn't seem to be into it, at all. I wonder if he's even attracted to me anymore.
Oh my gosh, we had the same problem. I thought Mark was having an affair. Then we went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic and learned he just had a medical condition. The Tennessee Men's Clinic specializes in low testosterone and ED. And after some testing and treatments, our sex life is the best it's been in years.
Oh my goodness, that makes me feel better. Sounds like the Tennessee Men's Clinic is just what Jim needs. How does he get in contact?
It's easy. You can book appointments online or just give them a call.
Your first visit to the Tennessee Men's Clinic is only $99. They have multiple treatment options for low T and ED. Book your appointment today. Call 615-208-9090 or book online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Hey, it's Joe Rexford here for FanDuel Sportsbook, folks. This March, take your first shot at college hoops with FanDuel Sportsbook and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets. That's up to $200. That's right. All you got to do is bet $20 on the bracket, and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting everything from money line, point spreads. You know that 5 versus 12 matchup. Oh, man, people love the 12s, right? Now, this is all on an app that's safe, secure, super easy to use, and the ease of use is very important to me, folks. Take it from me. There's no better place to bet the tournament than FanDuel Sportsbook. So sign up today by going to FanDuel.com/Joe102 and make every moment more with FanDuel all tournament long. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as now-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you have a gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789.
Start your day with a cup of Joe. He's gonna think that's stupid. Wait, what? Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad are Robbie and Rexroad. There, that sounds better.
Thank you so much.
Weekdays from 6 to 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and DMase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Preds fans, don't miss tonight's Smashville Live show at Brewhouse South in Cool Springs starting at 6 p.m. See your Predator star players up close and personal, plus get autographs and pictures. Preds player guest tomorrow night will be Luke Evangelista and Igor Afanasyev. Smashville Live, that one kind of killed that one. That's going to be fun. I killed that one.
Yeah, you did.
Very nice, yeah. Good job.
Thank you. I got a little bit nervous, actually. So shout out to Pete Weber, Max Hers, Hal Gill, you, Willy, everybody that's got to say those names at a drop of a hat. Smashville Live is brought to you by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, Little Harpeth Beer, Superbook Sports, and Dulce Vita Tequila, pure and simple. We had a bunch of moves across the league and free agency, and the biggest one, the big kahuna, in 13 minutes on the Pat McAfee Show. Aaron Rodgers will join. What do you think the likelihood is that Aaron Rodgers goes on the Pat McAfee Show, breaks his own news, and says he's going to the New York Jets?
I'm going to say unlikely, because I feel like if the deal was done, it does seem that there are some rumblings, some reports that the Packers haven't been satisfied with what the Jets are giving back to them. Have you guys seen that? Like, I would, if the deal were in place and everybody kind of knew, okay, once Aaron says I'm a go, we have a deal. That's what I'm wondering is, what's the story there? Because the Packers are part of this equation. They don't have to make this move. It doesn't matter what Aaron Rodgers wants. It does to a point, but like the Packers have, we know the Jets will do anything, right? Almost anything. Like we've had this list of players. You got to go with this guy, this laundry list. You've got to go get Aaron's favorite sandwiches for lunch every day. I mean, they'll do anything. But the Packers have to say, okay, I'm okay with the package. You're going to give me X, Y, Z in return. I do wonder about that part of it. And I wonder if that's in place.
No, go ahead.
And I don't blame either side for being at a standstill because if I'm the Green Bay Packers and I'm giving up my franchise quarterback, I want something in return for it. I want picks in return for it. But if I'm the New York Jets, I'm thinking, look, like you've been saying that you want to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. You've been saying that you're sick and tired of his bullcrap. And we're the ones that are taking on the salary. And I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm sure the Jets are coughing up a good chunk of money in order to get Aaron Rodgers and to sign his contract. So if I'm the Jets, I'm thinking, I can't sign him to a $100 million deal and give you multiple first-round picks. And while the Packers are saying, I'm giving you one of the best quarterbacks in the league, we want those first-round picks. So I wouldn't blame either side for not budging on what they want or want to give up.
I think it's it could be a bit of both, or it just could be posturing at this point. They know the deal will get done, and Aaron Rodgers is sort of slow playing it. And maybe Green Bay is slow playing it to a degree, waiting for 4 o'clock today. That's when free agency opens, I believe, somewhere around there. 3 o'clock our time. Mm-hmm. They could be waiting on free agency to open. And there may be a team out there beside the Jets that are willing to potentially give up maybe another pick. That Green Bay that the Jets haven't given up yet. And maybe they can use that as a leverage. Because we all know Green Bay wants to move on from Aaron Rodgers. And I think Aaron Rodgers wants to get out of Green Bay. A lot of it now is just the little things, whether it be the particulars or whatnot. I think the deal gets done. But, I don't think neither team is in a rush to do it. Now, the Jets will probably want to do it sooner than later, but it seems like at this point they're the only real legitimate contender to get Aaron Rodgers. Now, again, there could be another team that sneaks in and say, hey, listen, we'll offer you this player, and some picks.
But who would that be?
Exactly, who would that be? Because it seems like all of the teams that we thought need quarterbacks will either get their quarterback in the first 3 picks, Indianapolis and Houston, or they've already gotten their quarterback via free agency. The Raiders, who else? The Saints.
Yeah, they got their guy.
Yeah, they got their guy, and there are a few other guys out there. So
even Baker Mayfield is about to sign with the Bucs. That takes them.
Yeah, it takes the Bucs out of quarterback, one the quarterback. So they could just be waiting.
So it's a poker game, right?
Exactly.
So you guys are the Jets. I'm the Packers. I know you guys are all in on this thing. You want Aaron Rodgers. That's already you've got the press release written, right? The fans are salivating. You're in a huge market. You feel like you got a good team if you have him. So I know that. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to try to squeeze you, right? But if I'm the Jets, I'm also sitting there going, there's nobody else in this game.
There's no other players.
There's nobody else in this game. You're going to sit there and hold on to Aaron Rodgers. I know what you want to do. You want to be rid of him, and you want to put Jordan Love in there. So that's the stalemate. So here's Tom Pelissero. The Packers and Jets continue to negotiate on an Aaron Rodgers trade, but have not yet agreed to trade terms. Green Bay isn't looking for multiple first-round picks, and other quarterbacks have gotten that, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, but the talks are ongoing. So what is the market, right? The Jets know nobody else is negotiating. Nobody else is in this game,
could be
so
money.
They can name the price, and the money is a big part of it. The money's a big part of it. So the only leverage the Packers really have is just to wait it out. Hey, I know you want Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. You've already gone so far down. There's almost a point of no return for the Jets. What do you do if this doesn't happen? Where do the Jets go? They might call the Titans about Ryan Tannehill, but other than that, what options do they have other than to bring Bryce Wilson back as your starting quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
Zach Wilson?
Wilson? Yeah. Why do I say Bryce?
The Jets have already packed all their bags.
That's right. They've got the jerseys. They've got the jerseys printed out.
They're at the door knocking, like, let me in.
Yeah.
Because we already sold our house. We have nowhere else to go. Let us in. So you basically told everybody in the free world that we want Aaron Rodgers and we're going to do whatever it takes.
And don't you think they have to have?
Obvious.
There has to be some feeling that Rodgers is nodded his head and said, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll go to the Jets. So the only remaining thing to me, this is just a guess, would be that the Packers are going to hold out and wait until they get the absolute most they can out of the Jets. Mm-hmm. So who wins the game of chicken, right? Do the Jets finally say, all right, I'll throw in another second-round pick or, something like that? And if they don't, or do the Packers just fold and say, okay, I just want this over with, whatever. Just give us the third-round pick and we'll just move on.
Or if all breaks down and say they don't get Aaron Rodgers, the Jets already have shown that they will do whatever it takes to get their franchise quarterback. And if they believe in one of these quarterbacks in this year's draft, I could potentially see them. All of that they were going to give Green Bay, they could potentially move up to that third spot where Arizona is, I believe. Mm-hmm. They can move up and say, Arizona, listen, we will give you, if not all, close to what we're going to give Green Bay to move up to that third spot. If they believe that, they can still get their quarterback at that spot. Because, I'm listening to Jared's show yesterday, and he had, I forget his name now.
Trevor Maddich?
Yeah, Trevor Maddich. And, if Carolina, which would blow my mind, if Carolina drafts Richardson, then that leaves C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. So if we can't make this deal, and I know this is like a month down the line, but if we can't make this deal, then the contingency plan has to be for the Jets. If they want to get their quarterback, what do we do to move up to number 3 now? Because essentially it's almost the same in a sense. You're getting your franchise quarterback at least for 2 years with Aaron Rodgers to potentially win you a Super Bowl, or you can get your franchise quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years.
And while neither scenario is a guaranteed Super Bowl, I think New York looks at Aaron Rodgers like as close as of a thing to guarantee, at least in the next couple of years. Mm-hmm. New York picks at 6, and I heard what Trevor Maddich was talking about. Mm-hmm. If Will Levis or Anthony Richardson goes first, there's going to be an all-out madman race for that number 3 overall pick. But the question is, which side has more to gain by getting the deal done as soon as possible?
That's a big part of it.
Which side is totally okay with sitting back?
Yeah.
I lean Green Bay because they already have a bird in hand. New York, it's either Aaron Rodgers or whoever else.
They've committed.
They've already committed. It's going to be Jacoby Brissett in New York.
I can see why Green Bay is willing to wait and say, you have to do this. You can't go back.
You already signed Alan Lazard.
Yes, they've done that. That is.
I think the deal gets done.
So do they get a first-round pick? If the Green Bay Packers hold out, and they have said we'll wait till the draft if we have to, do they get a first-round pick for Rodgers?
Depending on which team is going to come out of the woodworks to try to get him. Which again, if it goes into the draft,
I don't see that team.
If it goes into the draft, and Green Bay still haven't made that decision, don't be surprised if now the Tennessee Titans are involved.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But they don't have the money.
In the slightest.
It's not. They will find a way.
They don't have the money.
It's a trickle down effect. It's you move Ryan Tannehill, let the Jets take his. If the Jets can't.
Oh, you're saying Ryan Tannehill traded to the Jets?
Yeah, traded.
I thought you were saying
Tannehill. No,
Rodgers to the Titans. No, okay.
No, if you can't move, meaning the Jets, if you can't get your guy in Aaron Rodgers, you can't move up to that 3. Now I'm talking to the Titans, and we're trying to facilitate this 3-team deal. I get Rodgers, you get Ryan Tannehill. I pick up the contract, or a majority of the contract, meaning the Titans. I get to dump Ryan Tannehill's contract. You move up in the draft and whatnot. To me, it doesn't put the Titans out of the picture if this thing goes into the draft.
And I don't think that it will, but I also don't think it would go into free agency. But if not Ryan Tannehill, who else? Day by day, more quarterback dominoes continue to fall. Because if you want to go down to all the way to Taylor Heineke, well, he's going to Atlanta. Jameis Winston, he just signed a new deal with New Orleans to be their backup. Even your options, your backup options.
Andy Dalton is in Carolina.
Yes, exactly. Your Andy Daltons are off the board. So the Jets would be in a very difficult position of Carson Wentz or Ryan Tannehill. If I'm the Jets and I promised my fans that we were going to go for it and all the hype about Aaron Rodgers was up there, what a letdown would it be to bring in Carson Wentz. My goodness. 615-737-1025. Jonathan Hutton, Outkick 360, will join us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans' move so far in free agency. It is Caroline, Willy, and DMase. And hey, Preds fans, hang out tomorrow night before the Preds game at the Superbook Lounge and Landshark Bar and Grill, Margaritaville on Broadway with 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Place your bets with Superbook and enjoy great food and drink specials. Plus, enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time right now to tell you about Lee Company. And Lee Company sponsors our Predators radio coverage, which resumes tomorrow night downtown at Bridgestone Arena. The Predators and the Blackhawks. Blackhawks beat the Boston Bruins last night, so they're going to be feeling good coming in. Nashville continues to play well, 8-2-1 in their last 11 games. Lee Company is along for the ride. Their display is all over Smashville, and they sponsor our radio coverage, which begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow with Max Hurst. Also, Lee Company has you covered for all your needs at your home. You got a plumbing problem, got an electrical problem, issue with the air conditioner, or maybe even still the heater these days. Man, it was cold last night. You probably needed to crank that heat. Just always remember the phone number, 615-567-1000, or make an online appointment at leecompany.com. Also, general maintenance at home or at work, they've got you covered. 615-567-1000 or leecompany.com. Lee Company, proud sponsor, Nashville Predators.
All the big plays.
For the win! Yes! Vanderbilt wins it!
All the big stories.
Quarterback carousel, what the Titans decide to do at the quarterback position.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
10% chance of making the playoffs. Checkered flag is in the
team
air.
with incredible talent.
Every team in the league.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Our diamonds are direct from the source, direct from the cutters. There's no middlemen, there's no markup.
Meet Ben Wilkes, 10-year jewelry professional at Genesis Diamonds.
We've got everything from half a carat all the way up to 15 carats and everything in between. So I never have to go looking for something.
And if you're in search of that one-of-a-kind designer ring.
Lots of times they come in and she's got a very specific picture, something that she wants, and she's shocked and amazed when I go right to a case and pull exactly what she's been looking at out.
And beyond the best price and selection, every customer at Genesis gets one-on-one personal attention with no hidden agenda.
Every customer that I've ever worked with has my personal cell phone number. It doesn't come from an automated system. It is person-to-person interaction. We're not on commission, so what that means is regardless of what you buy or don't buy, I'm paid the same.
Genesis Diamonds.
Here you get more, you get bigger, better, you get prettier. The quality, the selection, transparency, customer service, it can't be touched. It's unmatched.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
O'Reilly. Need new wiper blades but not sure which ones are right for you? The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. We'll show you options for your vehicle and even install your new wiper blades for free. Right now, save $10 per pair on Bosch Focus wiper blades so you can see better in any weather. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
NFL moves are being made this offseason. Another big one this morning, Tom Pelissero reported that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are finalizing a deal with former number 1 overall pick Baker Mayfield. He'll be receiving a 1-year, $8.5 million contract. The Predators picked up another win last night in Nashville. The Preds won 2-1 over the Red Wings. The Preds are now 4 points outside of a playoff spot, and Roman Josi joined Chase and Michelle to discuss the team.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun right now. I mean, I think nobody obviously gives us a lot of credit right now, and I think not a lot of people expect us to make the playoffs. And I think the message in the room is just kind of we just keep playing. We just keep trying to find ways to win and see what happens. And
Vanderbilt won their first NIT matchup over Yale 72-61. Next up, Michigan will come to Nashville for an 11 a.m. tip on Saturday morning. More play-in games tonight, and the Tennessee Volunteers kick off their march on Thursday night, 8:40 tip against Louisiana. This report is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. I'm Michelle Kanozovic for 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUZ HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 1025 and 1063. 1, 2, 3.
I think it was a good game. It had a couple of big plays.
Oh, man, Yossi scores!
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and DMase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 1025 and 1063, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, DMase, 1025, 1063, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We're live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook Sports, and joining us now is Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton. Hutton, as we speak, Aaron Rodgers is hopping on the Pat McAfee show. What odds do you give it that Aaron Rodgers gives us anything tangible in terms of what his future is going to be?
Well, good to be with you guys. It depends on who you believe. Trey Wingo has doubled down and said that his report from earlier this week is accurate, that the deal's been done since late last week. They're waiting on Aaron Rodgers and waiting on the details of how Green Bay wants to send out a press release. That's what Wingo said either late last night or this morning. And on the other hand, I know you guys have probably discussed this, what Schefter and Rappaport have been saying, which is the contract negotiations. While those may be done, the trade negotiations are not done. So if they're not done, Rodgers can play his hand here and say, well, we came to this agreement. I'm on my way to New York. Or he can just leave it on Green Bay to decide, like he's also done in the past. And here we are yet again on who actually holds the leverage in this. We've been waiting on Rodgers, and now Schefter and Rappaport want us to believe we're waiting on both teams.
Who do you believe?
I believe that we're waiting on Aaron Rodgers.
That's probably a safe bet.
We've heard from team president Mark Murphy already, and he's all but said we have told him goodbye. So, yeah, I think the Jets are the only team involved, and here's Aaron Rodgers finally going to make a statement about it, and Pat McAfee's about to have sensory overload with all of the people watching his podcast.
No doubt. And I think it's a safe bet since we've been waiting on Aaron Rodgers for basically the last 3 off seasons. But switching over to the Titans, some not marquee moves for the Tennessee Titans, but just seems kind of like good business moves. What do you make of some of the free agent acquisitions that the Titans have made over the past couple of days?
Yeah, I mean, let's start with who they decided to part ways with. I'm not shocked by any of those moves based on the discussions that all of us have had over the last couple of months and going into the free agency period. Look, you can look at Nate Davis and think, okay, they let him go and they've signed another guy that's basically at the same price tag. But I don't see areas where they have lost production over what they lost in either a salary cap casualty or in free agency personally. You can maybe buy a tackle or two, maybe buy a pass rush or two, but not overall production versus value. And I think that's what they went for here. I'm not overly surprised with how they've started free agency. And right now, according to Spotrac, they have the 9th best cap space in the NFL. So they still have room to work, and we know they're going to continue to address the offensive line for sure.
Now, Hut, do you think they go out, or how soon do you think they go out and get a veteran receiver? Because right now, I think Racey McMath is the most veteran receiver on this roster, and they haven't made any moves. And I know Titan fans are scratching their heads trying to figure this out. Why haven't they went out and got a veteran guy? But if you look at the market, there's not many veteran receivers that are free agents. It could potentially be a lot better come, June 1st. But do you expect them to add a receiver before the June 1st cuts?
Mace, I think the best receivers right now are available via trade. Mm-hmm. DeAndre Hopkins and Jerry Jeudy. But the Titans, with the 11th pick, they need the ability to move some things around if they're going to add a veteran receiver that's actually going to bring production.
for the price tag, I'm saying. The market right now needs to come back down to earth a bit, and for the talent that's available currently, I'm saying. And with a pot full of a lot of Juju Smith-Schusters and others, I think the prerequisite of anything they're going to add has to be, how's his speed? You know, like that seemed to be the mantra from Mike Vrabel going into the offseason. I think they're going to load up in the draft, but they have they only have so many picks to do that. And you're right, they do need a veteran receiver. I saw where Koharski says that Nick Westbrook-Akine didn't take the offer that the Titans offered him, and he wanted to test the market. Well, good luck with that, because I think the market comes back down to where the Titans are currently looking, and that's beneficial that they don't have to jump in right now and don't dive in head first to the market in week one of free agency. And while they can, I feel like you can get virtually the same type of guy with several guys who are available. Don't know if you agree, but I don't think there's any rush right now based on who's available.
No, I don't think there's a rush either. And I'm with you. If you're going to get a quality receiver or a receiver that you think can be a playmaker for you, it's going to have to be via the draft. Not draft, but via free agency.
Or trade.
Or draft or trade. You're not going to get a guy right now the way it sits and the guys that are out there now. You're not going to find that impact guy at the price that you want, because there are guys that have come in, but they're going to want money. Well, you're not willing to pay that money for guys that are not going to give you the production that you want. But even with that being said, looking at this team, do you think by them signing Dillard to be potentially their left tackle, now they can move him to guard, I get that, but he's more suited for the left tackle position. Do you think they go away from drafting a left tackle in the draft?
Look, I don't rule anything out. I still think they need to look that way, personally. I don't look. They're making their mind up on this one way or the other. I don't look at Dillard and see what he's done in Philly and think that he's an automatic starter at left tackle. He has been a high-profile backup for them for the most part. Now, part of that is due to injury with the torn bicep in his second season. And in his rookie season, he was backing up a fantastic player. And then he moved over to right tackle whenever Lane Johnson got hurt for a game or two. And while he didn't play awful, he did say there was a transition there where he prefers to play on the left side. And we know he can kick inside. The traits tell me he's a tackle, but and the money tells me that they view him as a guy who can start. But I can't just automatically – I wouldn't automatically – tag him as the starter, given where the offensive line is right now, Mace. I think you have to say, what's our board look like? Is the top tackle available? And if he is, take him, depending on who's there. And look, a lot of that is going to be beneficial. They're going to have a very good defensive player there, too, one way or the other, based on the way the quarterback market seems to be going. A lot of those players are going to be pushed down the board. And my guess is teams aren't going to chase the defensive guys because everyone's moving up to get a quarterback. So I think the board could dictate a little bit of this with our presumption that they're going offensive line automatically. But they've left their options open, and they've enhanced their options by signing him the way they did. And given the fact that he can play so many positions, you can find a starting role for him. It doesn't have to be on the left tackle spot, but that's where he is right now based on the depth chart.
Hutton will stick around with us coming up next. We'll continue to get his thoughts on the Titans and free agency. It's Caroline, Willy, DMase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Football and Nashville sports.
They can be a fully formed model of what they're going to be offensively moving forward.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
You don't know what's going to happen with the roster or the team.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
This is a good lesson about sports and what we think and what actually happens.
Chad Withrow on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Well, it is Military Salute Week in Smashville this week, and it was a great, great night last night at Bridgestone Arena. And speaking of that, Loan Pronto wants you to know, if you have a VA loan, speaking all to the veterans out there, if you don't have a VA loan, in this housing market, homeowners with VA loans have access to a ton of instant cash. So if you're needing cash for whatever reason, paying off credit cards, high-interest loans, maybe doing a home improvement project, how does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound right now? Loan Pronto is helping veterans every day get the money they need with a quick and easy zero-cost cash-out refi with zero closing costs. So you need to find out about this. With a VA loan, it's really cool because you can access up to 100% of your home's value. So use that money to attack your financial needs, and you can close and be done with all this and ready to roll in 2 weeks. So call Loan Pronto right now. See what your options are. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
I can go from 0 to 60 way too fast.
Who knew electric vehicle owners were having so much fun?
20 or 30 years ago, I owned a gas sports car, and this car is much quicker.
It's a great, fun car to drive. When you put your foot on the accelerator, it just goes.
They're fun, they're fast, they're efficient.
Visit driveelectrictn.org to learn how you can start having fun driving an electric vehicle.
Sponsored by the East Tennessee Clean Fuels Coalition, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FIND to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FIND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FIND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too. This is Caroline, Willy, and DMase on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, DMase, 1025, 1063, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. Jonathan Hutton, Outkick 360, joins us now. And Aaron Rodgers is on the Pat McAfee Show. He said it's not decision day. He's not going on the Pat McAfee Show to announce where he's going next or if he's retiring. So no juicy tea from Aaron Rodgers yet. But I'm still holding my breath.
He is... now we're getting live tweets. This is hilarious. We're getting live tweets of McAfee's mannerisms in the interview where Rodgers is going to, quote unquote, clear things up. This is about clearing things up. I can't wait to see this because they're saying McAfee, who always stands, just took a seat and is letting Rodgers have the floor. So who knows what he's about to say. He's going back to 2020, by the way, discussing Jordan Love.
Yes. Boy. I mean, he's just going on and on and on.
Filibuster.
Boy.
He's still upset.
Whatever. Call me when it's over.
You can't tell him when he needs to get over that. You know, it hurt him. It didn't hurt us. So
I can tell him when he needs to get over it.
We can't put a time limit or a time stamp on, hey, Aaron Rodgers, you need to get over them drafting, Jordan Love. No, he's going to hold on to that until he feels he needs to let it go.
Yes, he is. All right, Hud, I want to ask you about some of these signings, and I'm curious if you're noticing what I am, and that is the analytics angle to this. I've looked at some of the grades by analytics people who cover the league, and they tend to like the signings because it looks like there's bang for their buck, and it looks like for some of the things that they value, and all these stats that are never on the back of the football card, right? These are going way deep. But it does seem like that's the idea, is to try to get more value for less money, and Arden Key would be a case in point.
Yes, and also just on sheer production. I mean, he had 4.5 sacks last season, and 15 or 16 quarterback hits, I believe, if my memory serves me. And then he also had 6.5 the previous season with San Francisco. So if you just look at that production versus what they were getting from Bud Dupree,
exactly.
I mean, and here's the other factor too. Analytics, I'm with you. You're right to notice that, and I haven't thought about it in that way. But the upside, the traits, but also this is a well-coached defense. That side of the ball, for the most part, got the most out of role players. They found a spot for them to be productive week in and week out, and it was next man up. It wasn't the offense, it was the defense. And so with the Alshire signing, for instance, and just looking at how he could fit and replace David Long, he and Arden Key are comparable in the idea that the production was there versus what was there for the guy they're replacing. And I think that's important to note. And look, Andre Dillard, I think it's all – I was also, as we go through who they've signed, Willie, I also looked at that and thought, okay, he played for the air raid offense with Mike Leach. Is that signaling a shift in the overall focus of the offense a bit? I don't know. Taylor Lewan was very athletic too. Dillard's got to get to the field, though, which we haven't.
Nick Westbrook-Akine, do you think that there's a scenario where they're bringing him back at a lower price, or do you think they're just moving on?
I think this is this is an example of a guy who's going to test the market. They could have put the tender on him, and it would have been a little over $2 million. And I think they view Westbrook-Akine as a guy that fits exactly what they want in that role. But at the same time, they can find that role elsewhere for the money they were offering him. I don't know what the offer was officially, but it's the same type of mindset, really, if you think about what Baltimore's doing to Lamar Jackson, just on a very dumbed-down version, where it's like, okay, you don't think you're worth this, have at it. You can go take any offer, and we would love to have you back, but we think what we're doing is fair, and we're not going to tender you right now and give you a qualifying offer. That's how I viewed it. And I think with the number of receivers that are out there right now, I would expect Akine to get something less than whatever that money was for 2023, which is a little over $2 million.
When you saw what David Long signed for, how did you feel about the decision to move on from him?
I was surprised with the contract. The 2 years, $11 million. I mean, that's a very affordable contract based on even where the Titans are cap-wise. I thought about our conversation that Vrabel had with the repeat offenders. Long was one of those. And at minimum, they have to be looking and thinking, okay, we can get a guy on that contract. Could we have brought him back on that? Yeah, we could have. But we're also aware of the fact that he's missed a handful of games each of the past 2 seasons with the soft tissue injury. So if you're on board with the idea that they've got to change that area, which is on the table instead of on the field, that's what they've done here. They've turned over that position with a guy that they at least see comparable to what David Long was doing. However, I mean, Long was helping the Titans win games first half of the season when he was playing. So he's making big plays, and I thought he was ascending for the most part. But again, I went back to the injury history over the last 2 years and the preventable aspect of it, at least from Vrabel's mind, in part, which comes in the offseason.
Yeah, you could be right about that, Hut. But, analytics tells me that this guy was helping you win. You drafted him. He was a key player for you. He was rated as one of the top linebackers in free agency, and you allowed him to walk away for basically pennies, in a sense.
I know.
Why? Because of soft tissue injuries. Well, I'm sure they're setting a precedent moving forward that anyone that deals with chronic soft tissue injuries moving forward, you will more than likely not be on this team. So I don't think it's just a David Long Jr. thing. I think moving forward, this is how they're going to look at it. And it may hurt them down the line. You may lose some good players because of that, but so be it. Now, Derrick Henry, there has been some rumblings that the Titans are listening to potential offers. It's died down a little bit. But I think the way the Titans are moving, the way it seems that they're moving, regardless of what Rand Carthon said in his presser when he got hired. He understands, looking at this roster, looking at the scope of the AFC, that Golden State basketball or Golden State football doesn't look that bad when you're going against all these premier quarterbacks. So do you think he's on the team, or do you think they could potentially trade him if the right price come along?
Yeah, but I don't know what the right price would be to trade him for what he is worth to them this year. Yeah, I look at the same thing with Tannehill, like the rumblings about Tannehill. I lump those two together because I don't know. I mean, are you dumping the salary? Is that what you're? I mean, that would be the goal, and then you would get a cheaper player in the draft, and apparently it's a very deep draft with quality running backs. Mm-hmm. But I think that would be a move to get out a year early instead of a year late. That's how I would view it, and I still think if they can revamp this offensive line a bit, that Henry can be as productive as he was last season. You know, I don't view it as an offense that's going to change the mantra of what they want to be. I think they can go about it different ways, but I still think they view Henry as a key part of what they're doing. They could also view it as we can get production elsewhere, and it's time to get a guy now because the draft is perfect for this, and we can also get something in return for a guy that may not be of value a year or two from now based on the contract. Again, it would be a salary move, but I don't know if it would be beneficial to the offense in this particular system that they're going to be running with Kelly.
Do you think the Austin Eckler potential deal, because he wants out of the Chargers?
Yeah.
Do you think that can help them in regards to Eckler setting the market for a trade? If they get a fourth, because I don't think they get anything really above a 3 for Eckler. That's pushing it. But if they get a fourth for Eckler, does that mean the Titans should get a third for Derrick Henry, if indeed they make that change?
But Eckler, I think Eckler fits so many different offenses well. I don't think Henry is an acquired taste.
Exactly.
In the NFL. There's only a handful of teams that invest in Derrick Henry the way the Titans would or have. So Austin Eckler had over 100 catches last season, and he's led the NFL in touchdowns for the last 2 years. And a lot of that comes on the receiving end. So I don't view them in the same scope, and I think Eckler would be more valuable simply because there would be more teams bidding for him.
Okay,
and also, I mean, there's no way. To me, this is what Eckler's doing is a quieter version of what A.J. Brown did. A.J. Brown knew his value. He knew he was underpaid. And in the case of A.J., they had a veteran quarterback that was taking up a big chunk of the cap. And in the case of the Chargers, Eckler's agent is seeing this going, we still have a rookie quarterback here. You need to get paid now. And you are a huge piece to the Chargers offense and what they're doing offensively moving forward. I think it's a leverage play to see if he can't get something bumped up and move forward with LA. I don't think it's a smart move to move him.
Okay, that's a really interesting point. And then it brings me back to my analytics angle, right? You mentioned what is very obvious, that the Titans value Derrick Henry so much higher than most teams value running backs in general. Obviously, Derrick Henry is a special football player. But I'm wondering, as the analytics get more and more involved in what the Titans are doing, will they get to that point where they're just saying, look, we don't have that much money. We can get way more bang for the buck by doing what most teams do with running backs, and that's not pay very much, and just go with Hassan Haskins, draft a guy, find another guy who's a budget free agent, and we'll get the production we need from running backs. How close do you think they are to really having that discussion?
I think they've had it, really. I mean, that had to be a part of whatever the pitch was from general managers coming in and the structure of moving forward and acquiring talent and depth. And the focus. So the question comes down to this. Does Tim Kelly fit more into what Arthur Smith was doing, or is it more of something vastly different than what I'm expecting it to look like? Meaning 2 tight ends, and they ran a lot of 2 tight down in Houston as well, quarterback. and you move forward with Henry in that regard. Now, it also comes down to how do they feel about the rookie crop at quarterback and running back? Because I think that dictates where they go, and it seems to be a very nice group of running backs this year. So if you feel like you can get the same type of guy, or you have a dual threat with two guys in the backfield where you can rotate guys in and out, and you also feel like Henry's reached his ceiling, then you make a move now, because the price that you're going to get in return isn't going to get any better, I believe, than this offseason. But again, you need the right team to want to trade for him. And there are a lot of run-based teams that are strapped cap-wise right now. Although the Bills are getting much older. They're having to make a lot of moves with their roster, and they've restructured to clear up about $30 million. That I thought about the Titans whenever the Bills made the cap moves as a team that wants to get better for the run. But beyond that, it's Baltimore, Atlanta. You can look elsewhere, but there's not many teams that have the ability to just move around and go grab Derrick Henry.
Last one for you, Hutton. Based off the moves that the Titans have made in free agency, both signings bringing into the team and players that they've released, do you think the Titans are a better team now than they were in January?
Yes, because they've added at least two players on the offensive line that are starting over the guys they have currently. Okay, so let's start there, Caroline. But defensively, I don't think they're not vastly better, okay? But the moves they've made are not shocking in the least, and it doesn't really impact where they're headed one way or the other. If you look at the production, Ben Jones is the one big loss based on the glue that he was for the O-line. But we all knew that was going to be the case going into the offseason, that he was going to retire or be, waived injured, not being able to pass the physical. And that's just where he was in his career. But beyond that, they're replacing guys who have been healthy with guys who have been hurt for the most part. And because of that, they're better than where they were in January, where they ended with all the injuries and guys on IR.
Jonathan Hutton, Outkick 360. Always appreciate you for joining the show. We'll chat with you next week.
Yeah. So, by the way, still so much work to do with this roster. Let me just end with that. There are a lot of moves that need to be made.
Absolutely, 100%.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you, Hutton. Hey, join 1025 The Game for the second annual Music City Celebrity Golf Tournament benefiting Souls for Souls on June 7th at Hermitage Golf Course. Put your team together and come play with athletes, musicians, and other local celebs to support a great cause and have loads of fun. Plus, you'll have the chance to win awesome prizes. Sign up to play, sponsor, or donate at thegamenashville.com/golf. Caroline, Willy, DMase, 1025, 1063 The Game.
1, 2, 3. It's free agency time in the NFL. What big moves will happen around the league? And what will Rand Carthon do to improve the two-tone blue?
We're always open for business. We'll see what comes from it.
Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Willy Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official 2022 stats are in, and the Pella brand is rated #1 by Nashville homeowners for windows and doors. One reason, Nashville homeowners selected Pella Windows #1 for the highest quality craftsmanship. Another key stat, Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is also rated #1 for the brand that stands behind their product. If you need new doors or windows, the choice is clear. Choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaofNashville.com.
Coration CBD products. Coration began as our family's mission to provide the Nashville community with locally and organically sourced CBD products. We are passionate about providing high-quality CBD products for everyday use. Tinctures, topicals, and pet products too. We are a Pick 10 company. Our hemp is organically grown and produced in Nashville, Tennessee from sustainably sourced non-GMO genetics. All of our products are lab tested. Find all of our products at CorationCompany.com.
What do you mean he went searching for fresher powder? We have full classes today.
Instructor down at Vesper Ski School.
Toward each other to snowplow, honey, not away.
She needs more ski instructors to slalom through the day-to-day.
Pizza, fries. Whoa, Braley, no, pizza.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
With Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, you can check if you're paying too much for home insurance, because giving you options is the right thing to do. Oh, you mean like when I let someone with less groceries go ahead in line? Sure, there's a part of me that thinks, if you only need 3 things, maybe go to a convenience store next time. And now they're sifting through coupons and my frozen foods are about to be not frozen.
But still, it's the right thing to do. So compare rates with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
When you want live and local.
If they were just better at the offensive line.
You could be a contender in the AFC again.
They've had more winning seasons than not. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game has you covered. Looking for some national programming?
Why do I want to get a running back like that 5 more years? The AFC now is so deep at quarterback.
Check out 94.9 The Fan. Nashville's home for all things sports is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, Nashville, this is Dan Lebitard. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hey, the teams have been selected for the college basketball tournament, so that means it is time for you to sign up and play the official Game Bracket Challenge brought to you by Twin Peaks, home of the 29-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports. Go to thegamenashville.com/bracket challenge or the Game Nashville app now and pick your teams for a chance to win tickets to see Luke Combs at Nissan Stadium on Saturday, April 15th. Aaron Rodgers is still on the Pat McAfee show, and we are getting some of that audio for you. Michelle is hard at work. We'll get that to you as soon as possible. But basically, the nitty-gritty of what Aaron Rodgers has shared on the Pat McAfee show is, 1, he made it clear that his intention was to come back and play. 2, he made it clear to the Packers organization that that was to come back and play for the New York Jets. But he says that the Packers are the side of the equation that are holding things up. And to that I say, of course he's going to say that. He thinks the Packers are the bad guy. He's not going to put it on himself. He thinks that the Jets, his new shiny toy, he's not going to say anything bad about the Jets. But to me, that means that the Packers and the Jets are still in negotiation for what the return for Aaron Rodgers should be.
It does fall into line with what we theorized in the segment right before he started the interview, and that is that the Packers know that the Jets are so far down the road, it's past the point of no return. He pretty much said, "I'm okay. I'm probably going to play for the Jets." He's saying that, so that means somewhere in some store, somebody's making an Aaron Rodgers Jets jersey. You could probably find him on the dark market, whatever you want to call it, wherever you find the dark web. I don't know.
Go ahead and get your future bets in.
You could probably get that. Like, people were printing New York Rangers Patrick Kane jerseys before he actually was traded to the Rangers. So, I mean, they're so far down the road. The Packers know this, so they can wait it out. So they're trying to squeeze as much capital back from the Jets as they could get. So it sounds to me like they want a first-round pick.
Yeah, I mean,
and the Jets are like, wait a minute, nobody else is in this game. We're the only team in this game. We're not going to negotiate against ourselves.
But the Packers are like, we're giving you Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Listen, again, it's their fault because they made it be known to anyone that was listening, even if you were not listening, they tried to make it known to you that we want Aaron Rodgers and no one else. Now, if Tom was still in the equation, there could be some leverage here. But obviously, Tom's not, and he will not be, regardless of what some people may be saying. So the Jets already said, we're in this. We have nowhere else to go. It's like taking a trip, and, you leave the house, and it's a 500-mile trip, and you're in mile 300, and you realize, like, oh, my goodness, I left something back at home. Like, I left, I don't know, something that you may have needed, but you're not turning back around to get it. You're like, forget it. I just managed.
Figure it out.
I'll buy a new toothbrush.
Exactly. I'll do something. I'll figure it out once I get there. That's where the Jets are. They are traveling this 500 miles to Aaron Rodgers' world, and they are at 400 miles with 100 miles left, no gas stations around at all, and they're like, we got to go. We can't turn around. We can't make a pit stop. We're going. We're on the Keys. There's water on both sides. There's no pit stops. We got to go. And whatever needs to happen, it needs to happen in order for us to make this transaction a reality. The Jets ain't going nowhere. Mm-hmm. Green Bay knows that. So Green Bay is going to take their sweet time and say, hey, listen, we know you want him. And we will give him to you. We will.
And we know you don't have another option.
Exactly. So we're going to try to squeeze out just a little bit more. How much more are you willing to give us?
And every day that it's not done when this game is being played, Aaron Rodgers is going to whine and cry, come on, get it over with.
No, I don't even think Aaron Rodgers, he enjoys this in a sense.
Drama.
The drama. And Caroline said it off air. He enjoys this drama.
He loves the drama.
He doesn't care what people think, which I really commend him for that, because there are a lot of elite players and superstar players that are always screaming, I don't care what the fans think and this and that, but yet and still they're on Twitter responding to things they shouldn't be responding to or bringing up things they shouldn't even bring up. Aaron Rodgers, he's petty, but it's like he don't care what we think. He's like, I'm going to make a decision when I want to make a decision. Yes, I want to go to the Jets, but everybody knows that, so I'm not going to come on the Pat McAfee show. As much as I like Pat and as he's a friend, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the deal is done. He don't care. He's like, matter of fact, I might go on another retreat, okay?
More power to you. Take all the ayahuasca you can.
And I like that about Aaron Rodgers. He don't give a damn what everybody else thinks. He's petty. But
he likes that people are talking about him, whether it's positive or negative.
He don't care
press.
about the negative and positive, but he just cares that if you're talking about him, then he's like, okay. But you ain't going to make me make a decision quicker than what I want to make it.
Well, and right now, if I'm the Packers, I can tell just based off of some of the clips that we've seen from Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show, he's frustrated with the Green Bay Packers for two reasons. He's still jaded about the 2020 draft when the Green Bay Packers drafted Jordan Love to be his ultimate replacement. Well, newsflash, that's what you were to Brett Favre. They drafted you to be his replacement. And two, he's frustrated with the Green Bay Packers for this process still going on. He's frustrated that the Green Bay Packers are still negotiating with the New York Jets. But if I'm the Packers, I feel zero sense of urgency or 0 ounce of loyalty to get this deal done quick so Aaron Rodgers can go out on his merry way. Because Aaron Rodgers has held this organization hostage for the last 3 off seasons, and the Green Bay Packers have bent their knee. They gave him the contract he wanted. They gave him the $100 million deal so he would stay within the Green Bay Packers organization, and Aaron Rodgers has given them none of that loyalty back. So I don't blame the Green Bay Packers for saying, hey, we'll let this process go out as long as we possibly can, because you haven't given us the courtesy over the last few years.
To me, I just look at it, and I don't feel sorry for Green Bay whatsoever. I don't feel sorry for Aaron either, but I don't think Aaron's is really asking people to feel sorry for him. But I really don't feel sorry for the Green Bay Packers. You knew exactly what you were getting yourself into when you he deserved the money that you gave him, but you knew that eventually you were going to be in this position. So I don't feel bad for Green Bay. I don't care whether they, complete the draft today or if they wait until the draft. Why? Because you put yourself in this position. You did it. Not Aaron Rodgers. Aaron just said, pay me. You said, okay, I'll give you the money. Guaranteed, basically. Whose fault is that?
That's the Green Bay Packers.
Absolutely.
They put themselves in that situation.
Absolutely.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get to your calls, your texts, your thoughts on this. Plus, Aaron Rodgers, it seems like the deal is so close to being done that it seems like Aaron Rodgers, now more so than ever, is no longer going to be with the Green Bay Packers, that he will be a New York Jet next year. What does that mean for the Titans? We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, DMase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at noon.
That fits the mentality of what they're going to do.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willy, and DMase to talk all things Titans and NFL.
Much more creative in how you go about calling certain plays.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
That doesn't mean that you can't have great or don't need great quarterback play.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here. This March, take a shot at college hoops with a no-sweat bet on FanDuel Sportsbook. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. Right now, all customers can tip off the tourney with a no-sweat bet. Just sign into your FanDuel Sportsbook account to claim yours today. Or if you're new to FanDuel, go to FanDuel.com/Rob to get in on the action. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to that 5 versus 12 seed matchup that you've been eyeballing as well. I love Alabama and the way that they've been playing heading into this tournament. Memphis impressing me as well, but you take it any way you want to take it. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. There's no better place to bet the tournament than FanDuel Sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/Rob to join now or sign into your FanDuel Sportsbook account to claim your no-sweat bet today. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. A max bonus bet of $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/Sportsbook. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture eats strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and in the past, hair loss was inevitable, but now you have a choice for thicker, fuller hair. Trust the experts with 45 years of experience at Hair Club. They've helped more than 500,000 clients love their hair again. No matter your age, stage of hair loss, or budget, Hair Club can customize a solution for you. And for a limited time, you can get 10% off when you book a free consultation today at hairclub.com/chase. That's hairclub.com/chase.
The Electronic Express famous half-price fair starts this Sunday. Hurry in and save up to 50% on anything in the store. First come, first serve. The Electronic Express famous half-price fair starts this Sunday at 10 a.m.
More than 95% of people incarcerated will come home like I did. I'm William Arnold, director of the new Tennessee Office of Reentry. When they come home, we want to be ready to help remove barriers to employment. It's okay if you've been incarcerated or justice involved. Help is available. Go to tnworkready.com or visit your local American Job Center.
Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
tnworkready.com.
One is smart.
This has just been a constant trend for this team.
One is funny.
That's right.
Funny looking, maybe. Chase and Michelle with Chase McCabe and Michelle Knezovic.
Are you listening?
I'm listening.
Everybody's listening.
Weekdays from 9 to 11. Presented by Hair Club. Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and DMase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And had, the Packers granted, obviously, permission for the Jets to come out and visit. We had a nice visit. They decided to leave their cars in the street, which attracted paparazzi attention, which got, a few of them photographed, which I thought was pretty funny. But
made a couple of mistakes early.
But we had a nice conversation, and I told them, listen, I'm not ready to make a decision about anything. I want to get back into my workouts and see how it feels. To really hit it hard for a week. I've obviously been working out before that, but to really hit it hard for a week and to see if that drive and the passion is still there, and then I'll see where we're at. And so again, this is why this is not a decision here. The decision I think was made in my mind whether or not I was able to admit at that point. Really on that Tuesday, I wanted to play, and then it was how is my body feeling? Is it going to be able to hold up? So at this point, as I sit here, I think since Friday, I made it clear that my intention was to play, and my intention was to play for the New York Jets.
Okay.
And I haven't been holding anything up at this point. It's been compensation that the Packers are trying to get for me and kind of digging their heels in. So I would just, I think it is interesting at this point to step back and look at the whole picture. My side, love and appreciation, gratitude for everything that Green Bay has done for me. So much love and gratitude and just heart open for the Packer fans and what it's meant to be their quarterback. And also the reality of the situation, it is what it is. The Packers would like to move on. They've let me know that in so many words. They've let other people know that in direct words. And because I still have that fire and I want to play and I would like to play in New York, it's just a matter of, getting that done at this point.
Okay, people in New York are doing this right now. Yeah. People in New York are pumped right now, and I appreciate you laying it all out there.
There you go. That was Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee Show. DMase is over here with tears in his eyes.
Man.
He's laughing so hard at Aaron Rodgers. What's so funny?
It's just Aaron is just it's wow. It's the way he's rewriting the narrative here. And he's very aware of what the narrative was or what it had the potential to be because he wasn't writing it. The Green Bay Packers and the Green Bay faithful and everyone else like us, we were writing the narrative of Aaron Rodgers and the saga that was going on. Now Aaron Rodgers, he wants to clarify and rewrite this narrative of himself. And I can understand why. I understand why, because he's not thinking about the here and now. He's thinking about years down the line at getting this narrative the way I exactly want it, heading into my retirement and potential first ballot Hall of Famer. I get to write this narrative. Y'all have written it for the last 3 or 4 years. Now it's my turn to rewrite the narrative. I want to be in New York. I want to hit it hard and see if I want to play. Well, Aaron, you know you want to play. I mean, you just do. Well, now it's Green Bay that's holding up everything. They want more for me. They've told everybody they don't want me.
But they have every right to squeeze
every
last drop out of this
And
deal.
I would if I was Green Bay because
Totally.
I have in my mind, I have my future, and that's Jordan Love. So if I can squeeze another penny or another draft out of the Jets, well, damn it, I'm doing it. Why? Because the Jets want them. And the Jets made it very clear. We don't want anyone else but Aaron Rodgers. So if that's the case, then I'm going to try to squeeze each and every bit. And I'm going to wait until draft. You know why? Because there may be another suitor. And you know what happens? That seat gets hotter for the New York Jets. And then the Jets say, oh, my goodness, we need to make a deal. Here's another first-round pick. And the Green Bay says, oh, that's just what we wanted.
New York has no other option. They've got no leverage.
They're all in.
Yeah.
They're all in. They have to do it.
The chips are all in. 100%.
Would you, if you're the Packers, they're trying to compromise, would you accept a first-round pick that's not this year or even next year? Would you say, okay, we'll take the 2025 first-round pick if that greases the wheels a little bit? And you can tell everybody we got a first-round pick.
That makes it a little bit more palatable knowing they have their quarterback in Jordan Love. That they don't need to go out and draft. At least they hope. But at least for the 2023 season, they have Jordan Love. So they don't need to go out and draft a quarterback in this year's draft. They don't need to. Unless they would like to go out and draft a quarterback in this year's draft and make it, Aaron Rodgers behind Brett Favre, Jordan Love behind Aaron Rodgers, and then, XYZ quarterback behind Jordan Love all over again, drafting the heir apparent while the starting quarterback is still in place. But at least the Packers have a quarterback in hand for the 23 season.
Yeah, they do. And that's why Green Bay, to me, is looking at it from this standpoint. Now, when all of this first happened, it was like, okay, we don't know who's giving what and what they want and where we're going to send them. So there was a little bit more leeway in a sense. There was a little bit more, okay, let's just sit back and watch. But as the field started to narrow and teams started to fall off and teams figured, okay, I can move up in the draft and get the guy that I want at quarterback. And then the free agency starts, and before free agency, this quarterback is gone, this quarterback is gone, this quarterback is gone. So it goes from, say, 5 teams now to 3, now to 2. Now the Jets are the lone team. So Green Bay is sitting back like, okay, we don't have to make a decision quickly. We can wait until the draft because, again, if we wait until the draft as the Green Bay Packers, we have nothing to lose because we're going to get rid of them anyway. It's going to be to the Jets. We understand that. But if we can wait until the draft and possibly get another first-round pick, why wouldn't you? I don't know any GM that wouldn't, prescribe to that.
Exercise your leverage.
Exactly. It's like, okay, we got our quarterback of the future. We know you want the quarterback that we have now. You want him. You said it. You've done everything you've done everything. You moved everything to get this quarterback. All right, if that's indeed the case, let me sit back and see what someone else is going to offer during the draft. And if somebody else offers a first-round draft pick, I'm going to come back to the Jets to say, hey, what is this offer me?
What's the deal?
What's the deal? Come on now.
I think they're trying to seize on the enthusiasm, the excitement that the Jets group is feeling right now. That, hey, we are just this far away from having Aaron Rodgers on our team. We haven't had a great quarterback in I don't know how long. Who are the greatest quarterbacks in Jets history?
Name it.
That's
Number
pretty
12.
much.
It was like 50 years ago.
I mean, they had Brett Favre for a year, 2,
right?
maybe.
And that was a big source of excitement.
Exactly.
Right? When they had him. And
Rightfully
then you've
so.
got your Richard Todds and Kenny O'Brien and
I like Kenny O'Brien.
Kenny O'Brien was pretty good.
Yeah,
Like
he's
I'm
pretty
saying,
good,
they've had some good. Chad Pennington was solid, and Mark Sanchez, they won a lot of games when he was there. But the bottom line is they haven't had the superstar in New York really since Joe Namath. They've never had anybody like that. But Aaron Rodgers would give them that so they can taste it. That's what the Packers, I think, are trying to seize on. But at the same time, the Jets, I think, are banking on we're the only team in this game. Everybody else has made their decision. They've got their quarterbacks. You guys have nowhere else to go. We don't have to give you that much back. We're taking this contract and this burden off of your hands, and there's nowhere else for you to go. We're banking on you're not going to get that phone call at the draft. And so that's the game of chicken that's going on right now. It's an interesting card game,
Yeah.
right? Whose hand would you rather have right now? Who do you think is going to win? Somebody's got to flinch, or they've got to get together and say, "Look, we both want this, so let's get in a room, and we're not coming out of this room until we agree. Let's get this over with. We got to move forward. Both teams need to move forward."
The Packers want it. The Jets want it. Aaron Rodgers wants it. Like he said, since Friday, I made it known that was my intention to play for the Jets, which makes sense that we got 2 reports, one from Trey Wingo saying that the deal is done because he's getting that from inside of the Aaron Rodgers inner sanctum of trust. And that's why the Aaron Rappaports and the Adam Schefters didn't have it because of their intel is the agents. And in terms of the agent's point of view, it's not done yet until pen hits paper. But now it seems like, it's like you said, Willie, everybody wants the same thing. What we have to give up to get there or what we're demanding to get there in terms of the Jets and the Packers' perspective, now that's what's on the line here. But now it seems like Aaron Rodgers it's almost there. You are so close to being there that Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Jet. So now you're looking at the AFC in 2023. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, and I'll throw Trevor Lawrence in there as well.
Oh, you got to throw
That
Trevor Lawrence.
is a freaking gauntlet. And the Titans are stuck in there in quarterback purgatory. It's
They got Ryan Tannehill.
It's a scary road ahead. And that's no disrespect to Ryan Tannehill.
Nope.
He's been fine for the Titans. He has been a fine piece for the Titans, and I would say it's more likely than not that he's the Titans quarterback in 2023. I think that's probably the smartest option for the Titans in 2023. But, man, it is not very encouraging.
It is not encouraging. And if Houston and Indianapolis are able to get the guys that they want, and I know they will be rookies and we can't foresee the future, but at least they went out and got who they believe is their franchise quarterback. And if it pans out that they are, whether it's C.J. Stroud and Bryce, who I think it will be, those two, then now you got to add 2 more quarterbacks to the equation, to the quarterbacks that you've already named.
Right.
So
we've been talking a whole lot of free agency. We've been talking a whole lot of Aaron Rodgers. Let's take a Predators breather because, man, oh, man, have they been balling. Chris Mason will join us coming up next. Caroline, Willy, DMase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
Are you going to pay $20.2 million for someone who's struggling this much to stay healthy?
And your source for Nashville sports.
The players got to play better, and they're the ones actually out on the court, and they got to execute.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All right, let's make 2023 the year that you beat Vegas. Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. There's no fancy computer algorithms. There's no guys across the pond setting the lines for American sports. Just the best team of odds makers in the biz right there behind the counter at the Superbook in Las Vegas, where I'll be next week. Plus, Superbook features some of the best odds, boosts, and promo bets that you will find anywhere. Download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com to start your battle against Vegas right now. They have all the tournament games that you can bet on, the futures, whether you want to pick the championship or not. You have that. They have some pro football stuff, futures there, draft, what have you. It's all at your fingertips. Just download the Superbook Sports app today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
What do you mean he went searching for fresher powder? We have full classes today.
Instructor down at Vesper Ski School.
Toward each other to snowplow, honey, not away.
She needs more ski instructors to slalom through the day-to-day.
Pizza, fries. Whoa, Braley, no, pizza.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Your Game Center update.
Aaron Rodgers announced this morning on the Pat McAfee show that he wants to play for the New York Jets. He was just waiting on the Packers to make a deal. Tom Pelissero reported that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are finalizing a deal with former #1 overall pick Baker Mayfield. He'll be receiving a 1-year, $8.5 million contract. The Predators picked up another win last night in Nashville. The Preds won 2-1 over the Red Wings. The Preds are now 4 points outside of a playoff spot, and Roman Josi joined Chase and Michelle to discuss the team.
We have a lot of guys who play for a lot. Some guys play their first couple NHL games. A lot of young guys who take on bigger roles. And it's just like it's a big challenge for us. I mean, I think we're right there, and we know we have a chance to make the playoffs, and but the pressure's kind of off. So we just go out there and play hard and see what happens. And I think we've been doing a pretty good job of that.
Vanderbilt won their first NIT matchup over Yale 72-61. Next up, Michigan will come to Nashville for an 11 a.m. tip on Saturday morning. More play-in games tonight, and the Tennessee Volunteers kick off their march on Thursday night. 8:40 tip against Louisiana. I'm Michelle Knezovic for 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit theGameNashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
Score by Matt. A gunny performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this is Caroline, Willy, and DMase.
It was pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, DMase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook Sports. Now, the Predators have won 3 of their last 3. They are red hot, and joining us now to talk about it is Chris Mason, brought to you by Coleman Tractor and Tennessee's largest Kubota dealer, C-Mace. Whenever the Predators decided to make that decision at the trade deadline to sell off assets, to get back picks and get back assets to build for the future, I thought, okay, I don't really have any expectations for this team moving forward. But now things just got a whole lot more interesting. 4 points behind Winnipeg with 3 games in hand. C-Mace, is this team going to mess around and make the playoffs?
I don't know. They could. They look like they're not messing around, but. And that's the funny thing about this whole situation is, and you guys probably see this visually, just the way that this team looks out there. Just heard Roman Yossi before we did this segment. It's just so much lighter. These guys are just free of all this external pressure and disappointment. And it seemed like even when they would win, earlier in the season, it was just you win a couple, lose a couple, and it just never really felt good at all because I think. Obviously, we all know that they were underachieving for the talent and the salaries and everything that they had. And, a lot of guys were not living up to, the performance that they did last season. So once they, everybody wanted to see the young guys. They had some time to develop. Was Evangelista ready? Well, he looked pretty darn good. Tomasino, everybody wanted him up probably a lot sooner, maybe at the beginning of the year. The time that he spent in Milwaukee this season, I think was invaluable for his growth and development. And now you see him and he's more mature in his game and he's starting to get it done, offensively. And they're just going out there, they're playing hard and they're having fun. And I mean, as somebody who covers a team and who's played the game and played on teams like this, where nobody is expected to do anything, it's fun, and it actually really brings you together as a team because it's fun proving people wrong, and it's even more enjoyable proving yourself right. So they're just going to keep going out there and just leaving it out there, and it's fun to watch, and you just want to be inspired by a team. And I think right now it's obviously not perfect, but man, these guys are giving it their all, and they're finding ways to win.
Chris Mason is with us. C-Mace, what would you attribute this, I guess, hot streak to? I don't know if I want to necessarily call it a full-on turnaround, but a hot streak. I mean, you sell off some of your assets, some of the core players of this team, the young guys come in. What do you attribute this hot streak to?
Yeah, well, I'd say it's definitely a hot streak. They've been one of the best teams in the National Hockey League the last month or 2 months almost. So their special teams are going, and I just think because they're playing free of this weight. Their special teams are good. They're not doing anything fancy. They're just going out there and working hard. And, it's cheesy and cliche, but these guys believe they can win. And they've got a lot of young players on this team right now that are playing to prove themselves as full-time NHL players. And there's players that, have maybe proved themselves that are young players, but want to, solidify their spot higher in the lineup. So, I think there's just a lot of guys on this team that are trying to, prove they belong. And then the ones that do belong are trying to prove that, hey, I deserve to be playing higher in the lineup. I deserve to be on the power play. I've been, fighting my whole entire career to get this opportunity. And, guys like Kiefer Sherwood, you just never know how many opportunities that you're going to get to prove yourself at the National Hockey League level. And I think you have almost half your team trying to do that in one way or another. And I really do have to give the veterans a lot of credit because, I mean, you guys saw the interviews and you saw how tough it was at the deadline when this team who had underperformed decided to go in that direction, and they sold a bunch of players off and got those assets, how much it hurt them. They could have just packed it in. I've seen it happen before. we're at the deadline, and you move, some players to acquire assets, and veteran guys just shut it down, and they give you about 50%, and it's tough. But they've got good leadership on this team, and they chose the right direction and right attitude moving forward. No question about that.
Well, these young guys don't know what they don't know, which is a good thing at this point, C-Mace. But looking at this team, would you agree that one of the main factors in this team going on a hot streak, because the last 3 games, they've been close games and they've managed to win all 3 of them, is the energy that these young guys are bringing to the table, and the habits that maybe at times, and you sort of alluded to it, that veterans build up bad habits. Well, these young guys hadn't been in this league long enough to build bad habits.
Yeah, I 100%. I think, these young guys, as you said, they don't know what they don't know. They're coming up here and they're just going playing free. They're saying, you know what, I'm just going to go out there and prove myself every single night. And, we talked about last night being a trap game, because I know how hard that is after, you've been away from your family or home for that long, and you get home and you kind of just like, you just exhale, and you're like, you take a deep breath, and 12 hours later you're at the rink again and you got to compete. And a lot of times that you can have a major sag. And I think because half of this team is just young guys, they're just hungry. It doesn't faze them. They don't even care. They just want to get out there and play and keep proving themselves. And I think that has a lot to do with it. The energy level that these guys bring every single night. It's almost like, they're competing with each other and, against themselves, and just everything every single night. And I think it's contagious too, because you see almost a lot of these older guys too. They're free of the pressure, and they're going out there, and it's really, the first time I would say this last few months or since this that I've really felt everybody on the team is on the same page in terms of the effort level and the commitment, to the cause, if you will, and playing a team game and that work ethic and level of commitment. So it's fun. And I think both, again, and this DMase, if you don't have good leadership behind that, it's easy for 1 or 2 guys to fall off, and you go to the bad group or the group that's complaining and, finding all the negative energy. And then then you start getting into those kind of cliques. But I feel like everybody on this team is on the same page.
We're talking to Chris Mason. We're talking Nashville Predators here on 102.5 The Game. Predators back in action tomorrow night as they take on the Chicago Blackhawks. And Mace, that's the next mental test. The Blackhawks managed to beat the Bruins last night, so they've been scrappy and competitive here. But I want to ask you about Tommy Novak, because I think all of us continue to be wowed by the fact that he just keeps doing it right now. And it's still a relatively small sample size. We don't know what the next 15 games are going to look like, what next year is going to look like, but man, you can't help but really like what you see.
Well, yeah, I mean, right now, the way he's playing now, he's playing as a top 6 perennial forward in the National Hockey League. He's getting it done every single night. He's got on the power play. He's improving in the face-off circle, which was one of the big things that, he's really had to work on. Just everything in his game, right? He's shooting the puck more. He's just full of confidence, and it is a small sample size. And as we all know in this league, it's what have you done for me lately? And you can never stop proving yourself. But if you're looking at what he's doing now, he has the skill set to be able to maintain this. The goal scoring, I don't know. He's not been much of a shooter or a goal scorer in the American Hockey League level. But that doesn't really mean that it can't translate to the National Hockey League and the way he's playing right now. And again, for a player that is coming up and kind of getting their feet wet in this league, there's a point, I think, for every young player when there's a realization that, hey, you know what, I belong here. I don't have to keep playing not to make a mistake. I can go out there and play my game and use my skill set and that confidence and development. Just seems to skyrocket. I think you saw that with Cody Glass this season too, and even some of the younger players that haven't had as big of a sample size. Tomasino, since his recall, been a little shorter, but I just think you see these guys starting to say, hey, I can play in this league and I can do well. And Tommy Novak right now is, he's blowing me away every single night the way he's playing, but you've always known he has that hockey sense and skill set. It's just putting it all together and the belief in his game, and there's no question he's got that right now.
Mace, before we let you go, you know Barry Trotz very well. We got a chance on this road trip to see what not a lot of people got to see. We're observing as Barry Trotz starts to make his impact little by little. He was around the team. They made no secret of that. We talked to John Hines about it. He talked about it on 102.5 The Game with Robbie and Rexroad here. But it's interesting to watch Barry Trotz have a little bit of influence, talk to players, and also get to know the coaching staff.
I said this to you on the plane. I said, you know what? I said, Barry's going to change the way this job is done. And he did that as a coach. He was the first coach I ever had in pro hockey that actually, kind of got on the same level as a player and really cared about your family and cared about your situation, your mental health, and just everything, you as a person. And when I was growing up playing or the pro level, there was such a disconnect between coaches and players. It was that authority figure, and it wasn't, I would say, the healthiest of relationships all the time in terms of the way that, the interaction was between players and coaches, and I was fine with it. That's the way I'd always kind of experienced it growing up. But when Barry, when I got to experience the way that Barry coached, it was just a different approach to getting the most out of his players. And you guys all know, back in the day, we didn't have a very talented group for a lot of years, but I'll tell you what, Barry was able to get the best out of every single one of us, and I really strongly believe it was because of the way that he conducted business and treated everybody as an equal and cared. And I think that made the group stronger and better, and you wanted to play more for him, and I think he's going to do that the same way. It's a little bit different because it's not as hands-on with the players, but we saw him meet with all the guys. He wants to get to know these guys. He wants to find out what makes them tick, what's important to them, and connect with them on a human level. And I just think he's gonna definitely put his own flavor on it. But I'll tell you what, I guarantee the players will really respect the way that he does it.
Chris Mason, appreciate you as always for joining the show. Hope you've recovered from that long road trip. We'll chat with you soon.
Okay, thank you guys. Take care.
All right, thanks, C-Mace. We'll react to what Chris Mason had to say there because the Predators now find themselves 4 points out of a playoff spot with 3 games in hand. Predators might just mess around and make themselves the playoffs. What do we think about that? We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, DMase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
With Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, you can check if you're paying too much for home insurance, because giving you options is the right thing to do.
Oh, you mean like when I let someone with less groceries go ahead in line? Sure, there's a part of me that thinks, if you only need 3 things, maybe go to a convenience store next time. And now they're sifting through coupons and my frozen foods are about to be not frozen.
But still, it's the right thing to do. So compare rates with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Doug. Hey, listener. Welcome to Limu's Karaoke Lounge, where Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need, and the music never stops. Hit it.
There's an emu with a full-time job.
his partner's Doug, but Limu's the heartthrob. Grubs and worms, that's what Limu eats. Gotta fuel up to save you money and hit the streets. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and DMase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You know, I think some of that is a little bit result where we've been able to get some traction with some wins. I think winning always gives you, I think more of a feeling of confidence as a group. But the thing that I liked is I really believe when you go through this type of transition with all the roster changes is the veteran players that have been in the room, they're all in and they're doing a really good job. And I think leading by example of how to play, I think reiterating some of the messages that we're sending with the players, but I think also, talking to the younger guys about is it's a great opportunity for them, and you don't want to have guys that are just okay to be here and survive. And to the individual players' credit, the younger guys that have come up, I mean, they're playing with some swagger in their game. When they have the puck on their stick, I think that they're playing fast, they're making good decisions, they're making the right plays at right times, and I think they've all come in and grasp. The longer you play in the NHL, you also realize how hard the league is and how important your play without the puck is, and they really grasp onto that. And it's a group right now, they just really play hard for each other. There's a good chemistry in the room. I think they all respect each other, and they show up for each other every night consistently, and that's how you get good results.
There you go. That was John Hines giving his props to the young guys, and I have to too. I mean, Tommy Novak with 4 goals in the last 3 games. Luke Evangelista plays with so much toughness, and this team with a big core of the young guys has been able to pull out 7 wins in their last 10 games. 3-game win streak. I'm impressed with what I've seen from the Predators, and I had 0 expectations. Going after the trade deadline, after they moved on from some of their core pieces, I honestly had 0 expectations, and I have to give John Hines credit too.
Well, you remember I was sitting in Chicago, and the 3 of us were on the air as the trade deadline ticked down, right? They had gone through, they had started the long road trip. They had won in Florida after they traded Mikhail Granlund the night before. So Mikhail Granlund packs for the 6-game road trip, gets to the first city, and is traded. He goes up to Tampa and suits up for the Penguins. So that was the 4th trade, right? And this was also on the heels of them beating Vancouver, but remember, they lost the lead late. They had to go to overtime. They won the shootout, but it was kind of like, ugh, it still just doesn't feel right? And during that game, they lost Ryan Johansson. So that's when I think the realization hit. It was kind of like, look, this isn't good enough. We're still in the race, but we got to see what we can get. I think that's when they ultimately made the decision. That's just my trying to piece it together. But they won that game against Vancouver. They go on the road. They beat Florida, who desperately is trying to win. They're still in the playoff race. They beat them. But they lost Alex Carrier in that game. So every game, it seems like they were losing a guy. They went to Arizona, and they held out Tanner Jeannot. They traded Nino Niederreiter. And you're like, wow, what a gut punch. That's where you just heard John Hines talk about. To me, when we observed what was going on in Arizona, and they traded Nino Niederreiter, held out Tanner Jeannot, they're going through all of this stuff. That's when I think they had to make the decision, the veterans. Like, are we checking out here? Are we going to rebel and just mail it in, or do we want to keep fighting for something? The fact that they held it together, I think, says a lot for the coaching staff and the veterans, starting with Roman Josi, the captain, Ryan McDonough, Colton Sissons, Matt Duchene, the guys that are still there. They decided to stay in the fight. And the messaging that they gave to the younger players, I think, was important. If they set the signal of, who cares, now we're out of it, forget it, then I think the team would have followed suit. So they're 8-2-1 since that night when they played Vancouver. They've made up 9 points in the standings on Winnipeg. And as we know, Winnipeg comes in here on Saturday. Winnipeg plays Boston tomorrow. Not an easy game at all. Boston is in a little bit of a funk here. They've lost 2 in a row. They lost to the Red Wings, and they lost last night somehow to the Blackhawks. But that just shows you how tricky the games can be. You never know. Like Arizona's 18-11. Arizona keeps beating teams out in Arizona. It doesn't matter who's coming through there. It's amazing. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it.
Mullet Arena magic.
Mullet Arena. It's the magic of the mullet. That's what it is.
The mullet magic.
So, look, I don't know how long this is going to last here. I still look at the lineup for the Predators, and I'm amazed that they keep putting together a product that ends up in a winning formula. The lack of depth could catch up to them. I'm hoping that in time they're going to get a couple of guys back. Forsberg, Parsonen, eventually Carrier maybe at the start of April. He's a 4 to 6 weeks, so right around April 1st would be sort of in the window. Maybe he could come back. Hopefully McDonough's not out long term. You just have to keep your fingers crossed. But I just really admire how they continue to fight and they continue to play with, the weight lifted, kind of a chip on the shoulder, nothing to lose, and just go out and give it everything you got. These young guys, they're making plays. It's exciting. They believe they're going to have success. And so the fact that these are meaningful games, that's a big credit right now to what they've done.
Well, I mean, they've kept themselves in the playoff talk. And I don't think a lot of people thought that would happen considering the move that they made, announcing the change in GM. I don't think many people thought that this team would be in a position that they're in now. But I can, looking at this team, I can go back to when I was a young player, and it was like every opportunity I got to get on the field, I was excited. I was like, I want to go out there and I want to prove to them that I belong, and I want to make a play and build my confidence up. So when I do become a starter, things will go well. And I'm sure that's how these young guys are. Their thought is like, listen, we have nothing to lose. Let's go out here and let's just play hard. Let's play fast. Let's play physical. Let's play with a lot of energy because we've been waiting. This is what we've been waiting on. Now we get an opportunity. We love, like, sometimes when you're a veteran, it takes, after a while, it may take other factors to get you to remind you that you still love the game. Well, for these young guys, the love of the game, they have the love of the game. Because they want to show that they belong. And what happens is that veteran guy, they remind him or them what the love of the game looks like. And now they can say, okay, that's why I talked about the energy with DMase. These young guys are bringing this energy. And the older guys, not to say that they don't want to win because they do, but the younger guys remind them of what it feels like to really love the game again. And they go out there and they try to match these young guys' energy, which is great.
Yeah,
that's why they're winning the way that they're winning. They're close games, but they're pulling it out at the end.
Then the number one star of the game last night was Kiefer Sherwood. Now, he was a guy that was a minor league free agent, right? Anybody could have had him at basically the league minimum. He signed what's called a two-way contract. In other words, we'll pay you NHL money if you're in the NHL, but you're going to make minor league money if we send you down to the AHL. He made the opening day roster. He scored on his first shot of the year in Prague. He had 2 points, and it was like, wow, what a great find. He kind of leveled off. He was talking last night to the media, and he said, I went into a funk. He got sent back down to Milwaukee. He got waived. Anybody in the league could have picked him up. They didn't. He gets another chance. He's in this situation, and he's caught that fever, right? He's showing that he belongs as an everyday player in the NHL. That's what he's fighting for. He's fighting for a job for next year. His confidence is starting to grow a little bit. Scored another goal last night. He scored in 2 straight games. He's picking up assists. He's doing the things that he does well. It's a really fun thing to watch. Now, is he going to turn into a pumpkin in the next 5 or 10 games and get exposed as a minor leaguer? I don't know. But he's got an opportunity to show that he's more than he's been to this point in his career. He's got a chance to prove the league wrong, right? And he said it last night because our whole team is playing with a chip on their shoulder. They were written off by the league, right? The Elliot Friedmans, everybody, Nashville's seller, cast them off. They're done. Let's talk about everybody else that's still in the race. Predators are out. But they kind of are fueled by that. It's like the movie Major League, right? When they're like, well, the guy comes in, right, and says, hey, they're going to sell you off. The owner wants to move the team, and Tom Berenger has the famous speech, there's only one thing left to do. It's a little bit what the energy that the Predators are doing. It's a little bit like Ted Lasso, right? Ted Lasso was brought in so he would screw up the team so bad that, the owners would be able to do what remember, it's like he's brought in as a joke, right? It's a little bit of that. Ted Lasso, as we know, if you watch the show, it goes in a different direction, right? He's successful. But there's a little bit of that going on in that room right now, and they're feeding off of that.
It feels like they've gotten like an injection of pizzazz over the last couple of weeks, that it just feels like, okay,
we're not supposed to be here, but we are.
And we're going to continue fighting until we're not here anymore. And it has been very fun to watch. 615-737-1025. We haven't heard too much from the people, so let's get to the people's thoughts coming up next. Plus, there's even more that's coming out from this Aaron Rodgers saga, and it is just chef's kiss. We'll get into all that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, DMase, and hey, join 1025 The Game live from the Rusty Nail this Friday for the second day of the opening round of the tournament. Enjoy $3 two-lane beer drafts while watching some hoops during a St. Patrick's Day celebration. The Rusty Nail is located at Hermitage and provides a great local atmosphere with a large outdoor patio and volleyball courts. Plus, you can get great drinks and great food, especially the wings. Might give me some wings. That's 1025 The Game live at the Rusty Nail at 4054 Andrew Jackson Way in Hermitage this Friday. Doors open at 10 a.m.
Want a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game?
Yes!
Tune in to Robbie and Rexroad every weekday Preds game day at 8:45 for Preds Pick to Click. Guess a goal scorer and win.
I'll take Roman Yost.
Matt Duchesne. Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Preds Pick to Click.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, the fun extends beyond the beach. Because here, the arts are alive, the food is al fresco, and the nightlife is electric. So let's forget the cold and find our place in the sun. Let's explore captivating collections at the Salvador Dali Museum and bask in bay views from the St. Pete Pier. Let's fill up on fresh caught cuisine and catch up over cold craft beer on rooftop patios. Day or night, let's shine. Plan your escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willy Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. Use that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Sports Road 6 to 9.
You are talking about a team that's building a roster.
Chase and Michelle 9 to 11.
He's still under contract.
It's not always X's and O's.
Caroline, Willy, and DMase 11 to 2.
Trades, free agents.
Let's get it going. I think this is a good hire.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
I can give you one of the best coaches in the league.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Nashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Hey, it's ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Caroline, Willy, DMase, as DMase just breaks it down to some Phil Collins. 102.5, 106.3 The Game. This was Willy's request because Aaron Rodgers texted Adam Schefter after all of this discourse. Text Adam Schefter, lose my number.
Nice try.
Honestly, DMase, the more you talked about like how you admire Aaron Rodgers, the more I thought that you were off your rocker, because I was like, what is a redeeming quality about Aaron Rodgers? He is narcissistic. He is selfish. He's a good football player, but I just thought I would have no desire to get into business with him. But there's a little bit of the pettiness that I kind of appreciate and admire. And he's just had it with Adam Schefter, because I can't stand Adam Schefter, so he's just sticking it to Adam Schefter. Lose my number, says Aaron Rodgers to Adam Schefter. I respect the pettiness.
I think the T-shirts are coming.
Yeah.
Aren't they?
There's
no question.
I love it, man. I just, it because I love it for this reason, because so many guys at his level claim that, that they don't care about this, they don't do this, they don't do that, and then they turn around and do the contrary to everything that they said. Aaron Rodgers is just, he doesn't, it's like, I'm not going to say he doesn't completely care, but he's like, listen, I'm going to make a decision when I want to make a decision. And if you don't like it, so it's my world. It's my life. This is Aaron Rodgers' world.
And you're going to burn some bridges doing that.
Aaron Rodgers don't care about burning bridges.
He doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
That's obvious.
He said, I got enough money to rebuild the bridge if I need to.
That is true.
That's Aaron. I mean, it is what it is, man. But I like Aaron Rodgers.
Unless we have some thoughts, the people have spoken.
Bring it on.
To the phones. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. One texter texts in and says, as long as the Jets haven't come to a deal with the Packers, do you think the Titans could be in play with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I did bring it up.
No. I just think it's a flat out, no, they don't have the money. To have Aaron Rodgers in that contract? No.
I'm not saying
with what they're doing with the direction they're making with the moves.
Nothing
it's the opposite of bringing in
nothing
Aaron
is
Rodgers.
out of the realm of possibility in sports. The likelihood of it happening is very slim. Very slim. But I said, if Green Bay says we're going, as it's come, speculation is they could possibly wait until the draft, because maybe they can get somebody else to offer that one more pick that they want, that first round pick. It's not out of the realm of possibility that the Titans probably would say, you know what? If that's all they're looking, let's either try to, can we get in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes? Because it seems like it's going to take maybe an extra pick, maybe not even this year, in a couple more years. So can we do that? Are we a team that's able to do that? That's what they got to figure out. If they indeed would make a move like that, are we in a position that we are just Aaron Rodgers away from winning a Super Bowl?
No.
Probably not. But to me, if it goes that far, you would at least inquire, like, okay, now what would it really take? Since y'all are sort of playing this cat and mouse with the Jets, what would it really take for this deal to go down?
2 first-round picks is what it sounds like with the negotiations with the Jets and the Packers. Is probably multiple first-round picks and something else probably. And I think the Titans would have to have the Packers eat a little bit of that salary.
Of course, they would have to trade away Ryan Tannehill. But I think the deal happens? No. I think it's far from. I think it's slim to none. Like I said,
The Jets deal is going to happen, don't we think?
Jets is going to happen. But would I be upset with the Titans if they did that? No. And I know a lot of people are saying, "Don't do it, Titans." But let Aaron Rodgers walk through that door at Titan facility. Everybody's going to be screaming, "Yes, we got us a franchise quarterback, at least for a year or two. We got us a quarterback." Nobody's going to be saying, "No, why did you get him?" Because he gives you almost 6 wins automatically.
I would say even more.
So why would, if the Titans chose to go that route, which I don't think they will, but why would you, if they did go down that road, why would you be mad as a Titan fan? It keeps you relevant still.
I think that Titans fans would view it and say, you're almost selling your soul to the devil if you bring in Aaron Rodgers.
Sometimes you got to do that in sports.
And you know what? The Titans on the sports books, their odds to win the Super Bowl would skyrocket. And
exactly.
Sports books are one thing and reality is a complete different thing. But there's no doubt that bringing in Aaron Rodgers, a quarterback of his caliber, undoubtedly makes you a better team. But I also do think that Aaron Rodgers and the way that everything has kind of fallen out with the Packers and the Jets and all of these negotiations over the past few months, and let's even add the past few years, it has made him a lot more unattractive to do business with. At least I think. That you've been stretching it out, and this has been a long process, and you went on your darkness retreat, and you've been, dipping your toes in and out and, dangling the carrot in front of 2 different franchises. I think that the way that the Titans do business, they would have no interest in getting into bed with Aaron Rodgers or whatever, clown show comes with him.
Well, I mean, you're willing to go down that road if some of those, it's I guess it's like any certain things. It's like, okay, I will, if I didn't have to deal with a lot of other stuff, then I'm more inclined to partner with this person in a business deal. If I don't have to, if I know I ain't got to deal with the antics or the disloyalty or doing things behind your back, if I know I'm not dealing with that, then I'm more inclined to make a deal get done. And I think that's what a lot of teams, other than the Jets, they probably feel like, yeah, we would love to have Aaron Rodgers on our team. Absolutely. But getting Aaron Rodgers, if it didn't come with all of the other stuff, and I think the other stuff is him back and forth with the retirement, and do I want to play, do I want to not? Does the fire, and that's what the Jets are going to have to figure out. Even once he gets there, is that fire going to be lit for at least another this season and next season? Because if it's not, then I can't see, even with Aaron Rodgers this season, I can't see them winning a Super Bowl. The next following year, I think their chances will be a lot better because now everybody's on the same page. He knows everybody. He knows what's expected. Everybody else knows what's expected. They can bring more players in.
Assuming he'll be there for 2
exactly.
years.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like we got to know, does the fire still burn for more than a year? I think that's why some people are probably like, with the contract and the fire, like, does he really want to play? Like, we knew Tom Brady wanted to play.
See, I was just thinking that. Did we, though? Did we know for that much longer? I was very skeptical when this was all going down with the Tom Brady thing. I was thinking, really? He looked like he was in decline to me. That year that the Titans beat them in Foxborough.
I think the fire was,
he had the fire. He
was
definitely
still
had
there.
the fire. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Peyton Manning, the fire, the desire was still there to play. That's what a lot of teams are probably, when this all happened, is that desire to play more than 1 year still there with Aaron Rodgers. That's why a lot of teams probably just backed off. Like, the contract, and we don't know if he really wants to play after this upcoming season. That probably caused a lot of people to say, nah, we're going to walk away from this.
I would say that, and this is simply based off of my opinion and based off of Aaron Rodgers, in and out behavior over the last 3 off seasons, I would say it's probably more likely than not that he only plays 1 more year.
Yeah.
So the Jets are going all in for 1 year. And if you win a Super Bowl, That's
Great.
worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth the picks you gave up. It's worth the money, but you have to understand what you're getting into. You might only get one crack at it. You might only get 1 year. Maybe Aaron Rodgers decides to stick around for 2 years. Maybe a change of scenery and a change of team is good for him, even though he's trying to bring his old team to his new team. But maybe that's what he'll need to kind of reinvigorate the fire within him. I don't know. But to me, it seems like he's not in it for the long haul.
You know what was interesting? When Green Bay parted with Favre, I'm going back to 2008. He played 1 year with the Jets. Mm-hmm. They went 9-7, and then he played 2 more years
with Minnesota.
One with Minnesota when they were obviously really good. They probably should have won.
They should have went to the Super Bowl.
The NFC Championship game. A bad interception kept them from doing so, and then he kind of finally hit the wall the next year, and it didn't end great. But you know, the day that they parted with Brett Favre, I wasn't sure how much fire he had left. He had 2 pretty productive seasons after that. The Jets weren't a great team when he got there, but you know, he still played some good football for 2 more years. So I see Aaron Rodgers. If he's got the fire, he's got the talent to be productive, I think, for a couple of years, especially if you put a good team around him.
I think if he
good
has
defense,
I think
all
if
that.
he has the fire, he can play. He could play for another 3 years at least. If indeed he has that fire and desire to compete at a high level.
And that may be a big if.
Yeah.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. The Titans have made a handful of moves in free agency, brought players in, decided to part ways with some players. I'll ask Willy and DMase and the callers, texters, listeners the same question that I asked Jonathan Hutton earlier, and that is, are the Titans a better team today than they were 2 months ago? All that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, DMase, 1025, 1063 The Game.
The winner is... Listen all this week to Chase and Michelle for your chance to win 4-day passes to the Bourbon and Beyond Festival.
It's really gearing up here, Chase.
I'm excited.
Oh, yeah!
It's the world's largest bourbon and music festival, coming September 14th through the 17th in Louisville, Kentucky.
Makes you want to dance.
Yeah, I love it.
I like to move to it.
Listen all this week for your chance to win on Chase and Michelle.
I am listening.
From 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Starting this Sunday, it's the Electronic Express Famous Half Price Fair. Get incredible savings on all 4K TVs, appliances, home audio, computers and tablets, housewares, and more. Save up to 50% in every department. You'll not find a lower price anywhere. We guarantee it. The Famous Half Price Fair. It's first come, first served. Starting this Sunday, 10 a.m. at all Electronic Express locations. And get up to 3 years free financing. The Electronic Express Famous Half Price Fair starts this Sunday at 10 a.m.
Have you seen the selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches they now have at Genesis Diamonds? If not, prepare to be amazed.
If people really know the watch world, they come in and they're in shock. They're like, I cannot believe you have this selection here. They're able to see them, touch them, feel them.
Meet Genesis watch expert Charlie Rivers, who says over the past few years, Genesis buyers have scoured the world to build a collection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes, including all the hard-to-find models.
Daytonas, Pandas, Sky Dwellers, a huge selection of Submariners, Hulks, Kermits, anything that you could ever possibly want. We have every luxury pre-owned Rolex that we have here. We ensure that it's in pristine condition.
So come in today and find the timepiece of your dreams at Genesis. Or if you already own a Rolex and are looking to trade for a different model or even sell it, Genesis can help you get top dollar.
If you have a Rolex, definitely bring it in. I would love to see it and do a complimentary evaluation on it and see what we can do for you.
Genesis Diamonds, now with one of the largest selections of luxury pre-owned Rolexes in America. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. This March, take a shot at college hoops with a no-sweat bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or if you already have an account, because right now all customers can tip off the tourney with a no-sweat bet. Just sign into your FanDuel Sportsbook account to claim yours today. Or if you're new to FanDuel, go to FanDuel.com/JGM to get in on all the action. Then you can bet everything from the money line to point spreads to that 5 versus 12 seed matchup you've been eyeing. I love Duke. I looked it up on Sunday morning. I saw they were plus 2,900 to win the title. I think Duke is red freaking hot. all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. FanDuel.com/JGM to join now or sign into your FanDuel Sportsbook account to claim your no-sweat bet today. 21 and older and present Tennessee. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max bet bonus is $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Sometimes he gets lonely and needs some company.
10 for 17 for 45 yards in his career with 1 interception.
This is one of those years where it's a step back for them.
And that'll create more one-on-one situations and make it easier for him to throw the ball down the field.
It's Stillman and Company.
You've got real talent.
With Jared Stillman. Weekdays from 2 to 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willy, and DMase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
The Predators have a game tomorrow night, and it is your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click, brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty and Superbook Sports. If you correctly guess a Preds player that scores a goal in the game tomorrow night, you will win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Predators home game. Participate in Pick to Click tomorrow morning at 8:45 a.m. with Robbie and Rexroad. I will put this question out there, and I will let y'all run with it. I have my thoughts. I'll share them. Do you two think that where the Titans are right now, and there's a whole lot of time left, there are a whole lot of moves that are yet to be made, and there are a whole bunch of holes that still need to be plugged on this Titans roster. But based off of where they are right now, the players they've cut, the players they've moved on from, and the players that they have acquired, are the Titans a better team now than they were at the end of the 2022 season?
I'll start it by saying I just don't think it's fair to answer that question right now, because we're in sort of in the first semester of the offseason here. We're still just, we haven't had the midterms. There's still a lot to be determined. I think that's a really good question to follow throughout the process. And then after the draft's over, that's when I think we can say, okay, what are they right now when these big decisions are made? I like what they're doing. To me, it is a long-term play. It's not necessarily we're mailing it in, we're trying to tank or anything close to that, but I think it's more of a money ball approach a little bit. Hey, we're gonna take some shots with the resources we have, but we're gonna try to analytically find guys that are undervalued, which is kind of the premise of the book Moneyball with the Oakland A's and all that, the Brad Pitt movie, all of that stuff. That's a little bit what I'm seeing here, and I like that approach. I think that's what they have to do right now with the situation they're in, and just let the chips fall where they may. Make the best decisions you can make, but have an eye on, look, this isn't a year where, regardless of what you do whatever you want to do, you're still not going to be among the top 4 or 5 or 6 favorites in the AFC. You have to keep that in mind.
Well, I'm going to look at this. I'm going to go down the same road, Willie, but I'm going to look at it from this standpoint. We're on quarters instead of semesters. We're on quarters. And
at Michigan State, were you guys on quarters?
We're on semesters.
Okay.
At Michigan State, yeah. But there are some colleges that were on quarters.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And I think there are some still on quarters. But after the first quarter of the year, we started off with a B. And that's good. We're better than how we ended, last semester. We probably ended the last quarter of last year. Just sort of how do we do it during the end of the year? It's like, man, let me just get through the rest of this year. The rest of this month. And I've already set a base for myself. If I get a C, I'm still getting a B in this class. So let me just coast and just finish it up, have a little fun, finish it up, and go on home for the semester, for the year, for the summer. And then you come back in for that quarter, and you're like, okay, I want to start off on a good note. I don't want to. I ended it with a C, not necessarily as a whole, but I ended that quarter with the C. I want to begin this quarter with the B. To set a base. So I can kind of do this thing the strong way. So with the Titans, I think the question that you've asked, Caroline, they have gotten better. I think the way that they ended the semester with the quarters last year and the year wasn't good. It was an F. So the first quarter of the school year, I got a B. So yes, I'm better than what I was at the end of last year. This team is a better team on paper. The guys that they've gotten along with the guys that are on this team now. This is a better team. How much better? I don't know. But based upon the guys that they brought in, yeah, this is a better team. You can say they are a better team. Depth-wise, at least.
All right. What do you think?
I would say, looking at it from just the moves that have been made, not from a macro perspective of the entire team, because I don't think it's fair to assess the entire team as a whole when it's not constructed as a whole. But I would say the players that they moving on from Bud Dupree, dumping that salary and moving on from a player that was inconsistent, I think that makes you better. Moving on from Taylor Lewan. For everything that he's done for this team, he was always hurt and he was expensive. You're dumping that salary and you're moving on. And I think that they are better. Bringing in Andre Dillard, even though I'm not an offensive line enthusiast, but I do think that having Andre Dillard at left tackle rather than Dennis Daly or LaRaven Clark, I think that makes your offensive line better. And I think bringing in a piece, a more versatile piece and more versatile pieces on the offensive line, it makes you better. You at least have more depth there. I didn't think that you could move on from David Long Jr. and get better. But also, I don't know what Azeez Al-Shaair is going to do for this team. On paper, he looks like he can be pretty solid. On paper, he looks like he was a reliable piece for the 49ers. So, I mean, that's kind of
Arden
the jury's
Key.
out on that. I think Arden Key does make you better. I do.
The other thing that we have to consider is, in theory, they're going to get Harold Landry back, and we don't know what impact he would have had last year had he played. They got 0 for him last year. So he's back. What does he look like on one side with Key on the other? The other guy, Weaver, hopefully Big Jeff in the middle with Tierra Tar. That could be a pretty good front four there, front seven in theory.
Well, think about it. Harold Landry, if he's back, 100%. Jeffrey Simmons, and then they just tendered Tier Tart, so you could probably think that Tier Tart will be back next year. Arden Key, I mean, that's going to be Danico Autry. That's going to be a really difficult force to stop. I think that Arden Key only bolsters up this defensive line, this front seven, because in theory he will be more available than Bud Dupree, and you're getting him cheaper than what you paid Bud Dupree for.
The young secondary, let's hope that there's room for improvement there.
Well, I mean, listen.
I think there's a lot of room.
There's room, but will they take a step? Right, that's such an important question when you're quote developing players that you draft.
But you talked about injured guys, Kristen Fulton.
That's a huge
soft
guy.
tissue injuries that he dealt with.
He is good when he's in there.
But my thing with this, yes, or at least I believe, and Caroline seemed to believe, and Willy's like, okay, let's just wait and see, which is nobody's really wrong in this situation at all. I think a lot of it is predicated on, because everybody's just saying when Harold Landry comes back, and I'm like, okay, yes, when he comes back, but we have cautionary tales already. If he comes back and he didn't miss a step, I'm happy for him. I am extremely, and it makes that Tennessee Titans team even better on defense. But we also got to be realistic about this. He would have come out, it would only be a year. At that position where 300-pounders are leaning on you constantly, you are the best pass rusher, edge rusher that the Titans have. A lot of attention it will be paid on you because of your ability to get to the quarterback. How is that knee going to hold up? That's what we got to watch. We must watch that, because do I believe that Harold Landry is an all-pro? Yes, because he showed it. He deserved the money that he got. But let's just wait and see how he reacts from this knee injury the whole season. And I'm not going to hold it against him if he does it, because I do understand it takes you a little bit longer to overcome. You may be out there, but you're not who you want to be yet.
A whole lot of questions.
Yeah.
Whole lot of questions about this Tennessee Titans team going into this season. That is going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. at Jasper's on West End Avenue. Stillman & Company is up next.
Peace.